be catastrophic for him.
Yes, definitely, because there's a lot of things that actually can get knocked out with that 60, like the Dust Skulls, which is like probably the biggest engine towards to Edwin's deck.
That makes sense. And Bryce, did you see the comment about? All right, beautiful. So Alex is setting up, like you said, with that combination. He's using it with Pidgeot EX. So being able to get that Pidgeot, that quick search each turn to get the combination he needs. And if Alex keeps his hand, we'll talk about one of those really cool combinations that he has in hand. And now for Edwin, Edwin cannot get that Squawkabilly EX with a Buddy Poffin, but we'll talk to him about that later.
Yes.
But he is doing something a little different and setting up that Bayonet lock. So, Brian, what is Bayonet doing? What is their game plan early?
Yeah, so the Banette is like a really interesting deck because it revolves around item lock. So placing the Shuppets on the board is like the main early game strategy for this deck, and being able to transition into either the single prize Banette or the Banette EX, either one can really help to further Edwin's board state because the EX is able to produce that item lock, and the single prize Banette's actually able to get supporters out of the discard.
Which that Lost Origin Bayonet is really good. We saw it actually featured in Isaiah Bradner's EUIC list a few months ago because it's just a way to basically be a verse seeker, get something back where otherwise the only access to it had been a very convoluted combo from Fusion Strike and Palpat or something similar.
Definitely, and item lock is really powerful, especially when a lot of decks are really like heavily relying on stuff like rare candy and other items in order to further their board state. Being able to lock them out of using those super like important item cards is like a really valid strategy.
I would agree, and Edwin, it looks like, chose to squawk away a professor's research. That was an interesting decision. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting as well. I think he thought that he could just high roll and just draw into a better supporter, maybe like an Iono or something like that, that he could use instead.
Which was possible, but instead we hit 2 Bayonet EX and a research, and I don't think Edwin wants to throw that research down there.
Definitely not.
So we do see the squawk come down, which could be a problem for Dragapult, or good for Dragapult later, a problem for Edwin. But like you said, one of the biggest things for Edwin is getting that early item lock, which he really wants to stop Alex from being able to use rare candies to set up his board. And we see the vacuum, which is not the most helpful card here.
Yeah, an important thing too is that Dragapult was really hyped up leading into EUIC, but it kind of, it didn't really live up to the expectation. But now with this new ace spec that Alex has in his hand, the Sparkling Crystal, really helps bring it back into the format.
So what does that Sparkling Crystal do?
Yeah, so the Sparkling Crystal is a tool, so you can search it through something like Arvin or Town Store, and it allows your Terra Pokemon to have an energy cost of 1 energy of any type. So, it has a dual-colored requirement for the attack, but now you can only use maybe just the Psychic or just the Fire energy, and you can use that attack now.
Exactly. It's very similar to Counter Gain back in the day that said, if you are behind in prizes, attaching this tool card reduces the attack of your Pokemon's, or the cost of your Pokemon's attacks by 1 colorless. Here, like you said, it's an ace spec. You only get 1 ace spec in your deck, but it does reduce the cost of your attack by any colored energy if it's on a Terra Pokemon.
Yeah, and it was definitely really good that Alex was able to sequence his whole way to where he had no cards in the hand, able to Iono. It's a little tough now just because he wasn't able to draw into the energy. So I'm wondering how he's going to be finishing the attack here.
So it looks like we may just going with a Jet Headbutt just to take a single knockout on the Dusclops, which I don't mind, but I wonder if there would have been a better route for him.
Yeah, I think what I was thinking is as an option was to maybe search out, like the what is that called? The evolution.
The Evo TM.
The Dracloak maybe, and try to search a little deeper.
Which I wouldn't have minded. It's tough because you needed 2 cards there and only had 1 in hand, or he needs 3 cards, excuse me. The energy, the rare candy, and the Ultra Ball. Only found 1.
Yes.
But at the same time, there's only so much you can do anyway.
Yeah, and it was a really tough play here, having to, lose out on that 2 prize liability on Edwin's board. He definitely lucked out being able to just get rid of that after it served its purpose.
Edwin did. Do you know why Alex may have benched that or put down that collapsed?
Yeah, I don't, I can't really think of the line.
I can't
Yeah,
either. I
I
got
know.
nothing. But
Yeah.
that's fine. It's all
Yeah.
right. We're here to learn. Maybe
Yeah.
there's something we just don't know about.
Yeah, maybe there's a line that he sees that we don't.
But it's very possible. So, all
Yes.
right. So, speaking of then, what is Edwin's line here? What is his game plan
Yeah,
into this deck now?
yeah, so Edwin's line is definitely to start using those Duskulls to start, cheating out some pretty easy knockouts. Like, you can evolve one of those Duskulls into the Dusclops, and the Dusclops is able to knock out that Pidgey on the board. Or if he's able to, he's got Rare Candy into the Dusk Noir, that could put 130. That could also get like a knockout, maybe like the Dreepy, or it could even start to put, extra damage onto the Dragapult EX in the active.
Yes, exactly. So, Edwin able to use that Luminion. We're going to see Professor's Research. I was kind of expecting an Iono, but I guess Alex only has 3 cards in hand, so
Yeah.
there's a good chance this Bayonet could lock him out of the game for a little bit.
Yeah, and I kind of like the research over the Iono because I think that Edwin kind of recognizes that Alex's hand wasn't as strong after that Iono. He wasn't able
True.
to get the energy to attack. He had to use up a lot of the resources in that hand just to get the Dragapult in play. So I think that's partially the reason.
And that makes complete sense. And so Edwin will use Professor's Research, discard his hand, and to be honest, I think the biggest thing he's digging for is a Bayonet EX and a Lost Vacuum.
Yes, and we see the EX there.
We see 3 separate Pokestops.
Yeah, so the Pokestop could definitely help to search out that that vacuum.
Ooh,
Yeah.
and debating the Poltergeist.
Yeah, the Poltergeist could definitely be a cool play here.
So let's see what Edwin hits here. Does he hit the Vacuum is really the question. Unless there's another card you're thinking he's digging for.
Yeah, I don't really know what else he could really dig for. I mean, I could see a play where he'd try to, thin the hand out, Mew first, and then Pokestop.
And I think playing the Mew first is definitely correct, just to dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah, just to see as many cards as you possibly can.
Yes, we see a Rod, we see an Ultra Ball.
And
Do
the
not
Ursula.
see a Vacuum. But I mean, item locking here is still okay.
Yeah, definitely. And
It's-
I think he got the Night Stretcher as well earlier in the turn. That could be also pretty good. I've seen like lines where you can kind of string the Dusk Noir with like an Ursaluna attack,
Yes.
and that can also be an easy way to cheat like a knockout on like a really tall Pokemon.
Yes, and that's going to be a big thing that he can do is use that use that Duskmar to accentuate the pretty low damage output from Bayonet.
Yep.
Which Bayonet can take a big swing with Poltergeist, and that requires that 2 psychic energy there. But it would also require a ton of trainer cards in Alex's hand.
Yes, and the item lock begins.
Yes. All right, so we see the Rotom. We have a Arvin. So we can force Sealstone for an energy attachment to get this attack. And we'll see if that's what Alex goes for.
Ooh,
Ooh,
Is
do
the
we
s-
not
is-
have a Sealstone?
is the stone prized?
That could be a huge deal here. I don't see the
Oh.
Forest Sealstone.
Yeah, I mean, not the worst news in the world because Alex would be able to still quick search for it.
Yes.
But, still not the, not the greatest thing just to be able to waste your supporter like that.
And also from a sequencing perspective, benching the Rotom before the Arvin, not knowing that Forest Seal wasn't in deck, is a big deal because now there's a liability on Alex's board that Edwin can take advantage of.
Yeah, and that could either be gusted up and, like stalled in the active, or it could be something that could be hit for a big 2-prize knockout later in the game.
Yes. And so one of the things that doesn't hurt too badly about that squat going down is Alex still just needs to take 2-prize knockouts because Edwin's probably going to pop one or both of those Dusknoir/Dusclops in the near future.
Yeah, and definitely, it could definitely be something that helps Alex in his favor.
Yes.
And it's something that Edwin will need to, keep in mind later on in the game.
So for this Bayonet deck, one of the big things it struggles with is being able to come back against Stage 2 setup decks that can attack the low HP basics. Or low HP just Pokemon in general. And we see
Yeah.
the Dusknoir go
Dusk
on to the
Noir.
Dragapult. All right, so how do you feel about that decision, Brian?
I think it's okay. So I think that Edwin is trying to take advantage of the fact,
Okay, good. Alex is taking
Yeah.
his prize.
that that's the only attacker on the board, right?
Yes.
There's there's no Dracloak out, there's no other Dragapult out, and there's no other energy attached to any of the other Pokemon. So
Right.
I think he's trying to make the aggressive play here, knowing that it's going to take Alex maybe another turn or two to fully set up another attacker.
Well, what Edwin can do here actually is knock out this active Dragapult EX with an item lock attack. Now, giving up 2 prizes to Alex, which is annoying,
Yes.
but at the same time, Alex still has to take 3 more prizes, and item lock is going to stay in play.
Yeah, the item lock's definitely going to hurt just because it's going to make Alex use more resources in order to get his attacker online. So he's going to have to use that Forest Seal Stone. He'll have to use the Pidgeot.
Well, the other big
Yeah.
part of this is Alex is also going to have to manually evolve up that Dreepy
Yes.
because we cannot
Yeah,
use a
no.
rare candy.
Yeah, no rare candy can be used too. That's really important to think about as well.
All right, so we do see the attachment to Shuppet, and we'll likely see the Super Rod played. Yep. And then we'll get to see the Mew for 3, followed by the Pokestop, which I'm assuming is a sequence since Edwin is not Pokestopping first before playing the Super Rod.
Yeah.
And so for Edwin, obviously this is a huge swing turn, like knocking out that Dragapult with item lock still in play. But what is he trying to do to close out the game?
I think he's going to try to set up maybe a Poltergeist on one of the 2 prizers. That could be a way to close out the game.
True.
Yeah. But I think a big thing about this deck is like knowing the right time to break the item lock, because as soon as you break the item lock, you give your opponent another chance to climb back into the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think breaking the item lock when Alex does have a Dreepy on the board would be a very, very risky thing, because he could just get up that Dragapult in almost 1 turn based on what search he has available.
Yeah.
And so one of the key pieces that Alex plays is Crispin. Crispin is a supporter that lets you search your deck for 2 different basic energy cards, put one into your hand, and attach one to one of your Pokemon.
Yes, and the sequence is a very important part about this because I made this mistake earlier in the week. I had only one type of energy in the deck, and it ended up going into my hand.
Yes.
So knowing that you need to have 2 different types of energy in deck is a very important part, because you don't get that important second part, which is the attachment,
Yes.
unless you have those 2 types.
All right, and we do see Edwin get down another Shuppet, so there will be able to attack with another Bayonet and a Duskull just in case he needs to fix some damage. And now he's going to get to play a Research, and Edwin's going to be in a great spot, which is weird to say that he's given up almost 3, 4 prizes to Alex at this point, but he's going to be in kind of a dominating position.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely shows that, the board state really shows the dominance in the deck and not really like, the prizes or anything like that.
Right,
Yes.
exactly. All right, and we see the Research. So, Edwin, I think just digging here to set up a follow-up Dusknoir if needed, and also have that Bayonet EX left. And
yeah. What is that, the Scoop Up Cyclone, I think?
I was going to ask, what is that ace-spec in hand?
I think it's... Oh, I think is that Prime Catcher? It looks like Prime Catcher.
I can't tell,
Yeah.
but we do see the item lock knockout. Edwin takes 2 prizes. Alex loses his lone Dragapult. And now we get to see what Alex can do. Will we see a Radiant Alakazam? That could make things a little interesting here.
Yeah. Trying to see how much HP. 250?
So it has 50 HP remaining.
Yeah.
All right, so we do have Forest Sealstone. We do have the Alakazam, and we do also have Pidgeot EX Quick Search available. So we've got some options for Alex. And so how much? The Dreepy does 10 damage, I believe, for a single Psychic. So that would put Bayonet at 210. You can move 20, Bayonet at 230. So Alex could do something tricky here if he wanted to.
He could. But part of me doesn't really like the idea of putting the Alakazam into play so soon, because Edwin's still behind on prizes, so Counter Catcher's still active.
Yes, and that is a major, major risk. Now, the upside, though, is Alakazam can attack.
Yes, Alakazam can attack.
Not in every deck,
Yes.
but in this deck, Alakazam
Yes.
can attack. And without Bayonet EX having much HP left, like, Alakazam could close out the knockout.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
All right, so we do see, I believe this is Quick Search come out for the Dracloak. And then are we also using Forest Sealstone yet? Or are we holding on that?
Might be holding it for now.
So let's see.
Oh,
We
there we go.
are
We're
seeing
using
Forest
it.
Sealstone. So what do you think Alex is going to get here?
Probably an energy attachment, or either that or the Crispin. Yeah, the Crispin.
Crispin is excellent here, I
Yes.
think. Evolve the Dracloak and then Crispin the active Pidgeot. Seems fantastic.
Yes.
Yep, and so we do have a Psychic and a Fire.
There we go. Clean out the knockout.
Just clean and efficiently, don't worry about it. I'm going to attach one and then attach the other. Just skip a step is okay. So Alex will be able to knock out this Bayonet EX with Pidgeot, and with a small hand, I don't know if Edwin's going to have a clean way to knock this back out without giving up another prize himself.
Yeah, and with how few cards Alex has in hand, this could potentially be a poltergeist play. How does the poltergeist work again?
Poltergeist is 50 or it's 50 or 60 times the number of trainer cards in your opponent's hand.
Oh, opponent's hand. Never mind then.
So
Yeah, then the poltergeist can't really clean up the.
I actually
Yeah.
don't mind this because I think
Yeah.
moving multiple damage from the ooh, and we see a boss's orders. But moving damage from the Bayonet EX to the bench, I think is a really, really good decision. Or we could absolutely do no such thing and
Yes.
just take the knockout.
Yeah.
Brian, what am I missing here?
Yeah, I think if you're gonna play the Alakazam, you kind of need to use it.
Right, get
Yeah.
some value out of it.
Hmm.
Well, regardless, we do see Edwin now being kind of a tough position with that Bayonet getting knocked out.
Yeah. After being able to, take this huge lead here, I think like you might have to, stall something in the active in order to, try to catch up.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And so Alex has the boss in hand. So Iono, even though typically in this position you'd say Iono's a great disruption, if Edwin wants to take a knockout, he really can't Iono Alex.
Yeah.
He wants him to have a big hand. Ah, but Edwin determining what energy counts are left, and for better or worse, Alex hasn't attached a lot of them. So then, is Edwin going for an item lock? Is he going for a poltergeist reach? What do you think's the move?
I feel like you have to go for the item lock here. I mean, if you can try to go for like a stall play and then item lock, because I don't think the poltergeist will, hit tall enough.
I would agree. It is
Yeah.
not going to get close.
Yeah.
Edwin could take a big risk, but
Yeah, I do like that. Catcher Alakazam is like perfect because the reason why you don't play the Alakazam is because the 2 retreat cost is kind of hard to overcome.
and we will see the Iono then just to put Alex down to a very low card, hand size, and then start using that item lock. So this decision I like a lot because it gives you a capability to slow down the game. But, man, this is tough because Alex benching that Alakazam without getting value out of it and is immediately getting punished for it. And so I'm curious, Brian, why do you think Edwin's evolving that Dusknoir?
Probably just to thin it out of the deck. And it could be it's got more HP, so the Dragapult won't be able to clean it off the bench.
True,
For
just
the
to keep
final
it out of
prize.
range.
Yeah, just keep it out of range from that final knockout.
That makes complete sense. All right, so we will see the Bayonet come in, hit for the item lock for 30. And now, I'm going to tell you what I think the sequence is from Alex's end. I think all you do is you quick search for Psychic Energy, attach it to the active Alakazam, and pass. And I don't think you need to do anything else. But
Yeah.
Brian, is there another route you think could be better here?
I completely agree. A lot of people would try to go aggressive for like the Turo play, but then it's like you Turo and then you attack, and then it's like you can't really do anything after that. You really want to end the game on like one clean turn.
Yes.
Even though you have to set up towards that one clean turn, you kind of need to, set it up. And you're in a position to where you can do that because you're so much more farther ahead now.
Well, as we say that, we
Yes.
are likely seeing the Turo play come out right in
Yes.
front of us.
Yes, we don't totally agree with the Turo play, but
I in
Yeah.
no way agree with the Turo play, but we could see the Turo. I would love to see Alex use the Alakazam to move some damage from the Mew onto the Bayonet. Okay, we do
Yes.
see that. Excellent.
yes.
And then we see the Turo come down, go into Pidgeot EX, and then use that blustery win for 120, which is pretty good.
Yeah, and the Turo play isn't the worst thing in the world too, just because you're getting the Alakazam off the board now. So it's not something that can be gusted up now. And
Right.
all the other targets that could be gusted are pretty easy to get out of the active.
And so I have another question, though.
Yeah.
Why do you think he used Dracloak's ability second?
Before the Turo or after the Turo play?
After the Turo and after the Quick Search?
Yeah, I don't. I guess. Yeah, I don't really know. I feel like you would want to use it before the deck is shuffled.
I would
Yeah,
absolutely agree
yeah.
with that. All right.
Yeah.
So we're on the same page
Yeah.
in that. Alex, recommendation.
Yes.
Use your, and this is, I think, a good recommendation in general. You always want to use your non-like finalized searches and draws before you need to make decisions. So Alex needs to make a decision with all the information available to him with Quick Search and with I think that was the only search for the turn so far. But using the Dracloak ability, you just get to see 2 cards.
Yeah.
And then you get to use that information to inform other decisions. But I mean, Alex is still in a pretty good spot. There's not a clean way to get a knockout here with that big bear. Poltergeist is obviously not going to do very much damage since Alex only has 1 card in hand. So there is some space here. And you're right, that is Prime Catcher for Edwin.
Yeah, so the Prime Catcher could actually be used to take 2 prizes off of the Rotom. That could be a possibility, and then you could try to clean up with
Yeah.
maybe like a Poltergeist play, or I would like to see. Ooh, actually, no, there's
Well,
no way.
unfortunately, this
Yeah,
is also kind of game losing for Edwin, though,
yeah,
because now Alex can just quick search
quick
for the
search.
boss's orders. Still technically needs to draw for turn, but it's okay.
Yep.
We can just get the boss and call it a day.
Yep.
There you go. And Edwin scoops it up. Game goes to Alex. There are some decisions made there I don't know if I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, but
Brian, what do you think?
yeah, I totally agree. I feel like these are just decks that they're kind of trying out, seeing how it would adapt to the new format. And I mean, this is why we do this. I mean, it's kind of like why we did the King of the Hill in the first place.
Right.
We're here to make the mistakes. We're here to learn from the mistakes and use the VODs as a way for everybody to improve.
Yes, I agree. And I think Edwin, incredible player. Alex definitely has had some great runs this year and is growing as a player. So it's awesome to see these guys trying this stuff out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is the place to do it.
It is. It is. So we are, like we said, focusing on Stellar Crown format because we are going into the Louisville format in a couple weeks. And you'll hear us talk about it a lot. We have a big old cup here in a week or two at Nerd Rage in Stellar Crown format. So, Brian, I know you're going to be talking with me for part of it. Are you playing as well, or?
I think I'm just gonna be talking for the whole
All
time.
right, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
We're on the same page.
Yeah, I think that's what I planned at least, is just to talk for the whole time.
Beautiful. So we
Yeah.
actually, and we'll put an official announcement out there, but we are actually going to have a guest caster for at least Swiss of that tournament in a official Pokemon TCG regional caster here.
Yeah.
So
newly official.
newly official. So
Yeah.
we'll announce who that is later. But for those who are listening, one of us, or maybe neither of us, will be
Yeah.
get kicked out at
Yeah.
times to have our wonderful official caster there. So
Yeah.
as we're starting off, like we said, we'll just do the introductions here. So we're Nerd Rage Gaming. We have Magic. We have Digimon. We have Pokemon. Obviously, you're here for Pokemon. But Nerd Rage legit has a ton of other great options, a lot of other great games. One Piece I know is exploding, and there's a couple nights here for that.
Yeah.
So we'd be happy to have you here for any game. Pokemon is Thursdays.
Yes, Pokemon is Thursdays.
But we will be here with you every Thursday, too, on stream whenever there isn't a Magic show happening.
Yes,
or something.
definitely. Yeah, there's like, so many options to play, and there's a lot of, singles and gear for those games as well.
Oh, there's
available
so
in the
much
shop.
stuff here.
Yeah.
And Zeke actually just did restock the front with a ton of different singles. So if you're looking for Pokemon stuff, looking for anything, honestly, they got a bunch of stuff here.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll give you guys a quick break while we get the next round set up. We'll be back in about 5 minutes with the next round here at Nerd Rage Gaming. Welcome back, everyone, to round 2 of Nerd Rage Gaming Locals. We have here Mr. Chi and Pow himself, Jared Grimes, playing Terrapagos EX with Dust Noir, facing against Eli, Nerd Rage team member, playing, you are reading that correctly, Whiscash Mill.
Look at his face. I'm so excited for this game.
This is the enthusiasm we needed. All right. Jared is losing his mind, but we are setting up. So, Brian, would you like to tell us about Terrapagos? And I will happily talk about
Yes.
Whiscash.
So Terrapagos is the new fun toy. You know, it's
Yes.
stellar, Pokemon. It's Terra type. It's got, 2 attacks. The first one is it's what, Unified Beatdown. It's like does 20 damage for each bench Pokemon.
30 per each bench.
30
but
for
yes.
each bench. And the second attack, I don't really remember how much. It's like 180, and then it's like only like non-basic colorless or something like that can attack.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
180 damage for, I believe it is water, lightning, grass.
Yeah.
And this prevent all damage to this Pokemon done by basic non-colorless Pokemon.
Yeah.
So Terrapagos can hit it, but a Miraidon can't, a Roaring Moon can't,
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah, so it takes advantage of a lot of really cool colorless Pokemon, like, the new Noctowl line. There seems to be a Pidgeot line here as well, and then the Fanrotom, which is able to search out a lot of those baby Pokemon
Yes.
and gets like really, really cool lines here.
And Jared just has a stellar first. I
Yes.
see what I did there. Stellar first hand, getting a Noctowl, a Hoot Hoot, a Pidgey, a Dusknoir, and now Eli is checking his prizes, and those are
some prizes.
some prizes.
Yeah, we don't like to see the double reversal.
We do not, because it was what, a reversal and a legacy.
Yeah, I think so.
It's not great. So, if you're wondering, what the heck does Whiscash do? Well, I'll tell you. Whiscash has an attack. It has 140 HP. It is a Stage 1 fighting type Pokemon. And its attack, first attack for 1 fighting energy, says discard cards from your opponent's deck for each fighting energy attached to this Pokemon. And so you must be wondering, Dan, that's horrible. Why are we playing this? And you'd be correct. But you have reversal energy, which is
Yes.
3 rainbow energy if you're behind on prizes,
Yeah.
if it's attached to an evolution. You have legacy energy. You have luminous energy. You have basic fighting energy. You have a bunch of different energies that you can throw on there. And you say, Dan, you only get to manually attach so much. How do you get the energy on there? And Brian, you already see part of the answer.
Yeah, you see part of the answer.
It's Regigigas.
It's Reggie's.
We got Reggie's. We are back with Reggie's, but Reggie's not taking prizes. Reggie's purely milling cards. So what Eli is trying to do is put down a Cornerstone Ogerpon or something similar, use that Area 0 Underdepths to fill a full bench of 6 Reggie's, 2 Whiscash or Barboach Whiscash, and that Corner Pawn, and then use Ancient Wisdom to continually throw reversal energy onto a Whiscash and or Barboach to then mill Jared's deck into oblivion. This deck is ridiculous.
Yes, it's crazy.
Yes, it is absolutely ridiculous and crazy. Will it work?
I mean, it seemed to work for the first game.
It did. It was actually pretty effective the first game. So we're going to see, because this is early format. You love to see crazy stuff come out. And Mo, I am currently wearing a button down and dress pants and dress shoes because I was therapizing, and Brian is much more comfortable
Yes,
than I
I'm
am.
in my gym clothes, so just, big T little shorts.
That's
Yeah.
that is a good
Yeah.
fit. All right, so for Eli, we see 3 Reggies down. We see a Barboach down. What he really, really needs to get down here is another Barboach, like at a minimum 2 of those, so that he's able to sustain attackers. And so we don't see much of that yet, but we can also attach an energy to the active Regice and use Regigate. But if Jared can gust that Barboach, things could get sketchy here.
Yes, and I did play against this on the ladder yesterday. And
The Whiscash?
Yes, and
Wait, what?
I did, and I thought it was one of the teammates. But I kind of knew already that, how the reversal worked and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm just not going to attack it until I have a way to knock it out.
That's very reasonable.
Yes.
All right, so we do see, though, Prime Catcher on Jared's end, which Jared... Oh, is it not a Reggie? It's just a basic Pokemon? Oh, that's brilliant.
That's
All right,
crazy.
so Eli is alive still, knowing that he can keep those 2 Barboach on the bench.
Yeah, and it's nice too because Eli's not really as much on a ticking time bomb as like other Reggie decks would have been,
Right.
because you're not really trying to rush into your Reggies, and you don't have to worry about clogging up your bench because the Area 0 will let you, put as many as you want. or
Exactly.
up to 8.
And you don't really care about taking prizes at all. Which this deck can take prizes, especially since Terapagos is weak to fighting, but I don't think Eli really wants to do that. And Dan, it is a
Yes.
pleasure to have you here. Thank you for joining. I will say, almost all of my opponents in Baltimore asked if I was playing Giratina because
That's
that
so
is
funny.
what I was known by as the Tina guy.
The Tina guy.
Little did they know, I just played New Tina, which is Ancient Box. All right, so Brian, tell us what Jared's starting to do with this Noctowl on his turn 2.
Yeah, so this Noctowl is pretty much the second coming of Shady Dealings. So as long as there's a Terra Pokemon, which is a very important part about the ability,
Yes, it is.
that you can only use it when there's a Terra on there. On play, you're able to get 2 trainer cards, which is crazy because you can pretty much just set up Pidgeot right away. You can set up. There's just endless possibilities. You can get the Area 0 with it. Like any sort of trainer card, you're able to get, and you can get 2 of them.
Yes. So I mentioned that the Barboach was safe. The Barboach is not safe.
Yes, the Barboach is not.
Neither Barboach is safe because we have a Night Stretcher and we have Pidgeot searching for another rare candy. So what we are going to do here is Dust Noir Barboach, and then we are going to Prime Catcher Barboach, and then things will be going very awry for Eli here.
Yes.
And yes, Goofy, we got some good players in the Chicago area, and it's
Yeah.
wonderful to have some people interested in our locals here too. And then we will see the Iono. So, a question for you on this, Brian. Why do you think Jared waited until after the Iono to pop the Dust Noir?
Just to see how many cards he can get. Just see what else he can possibly string together along with that to make his board state even further.
So, is it just under
Yeah.
the assumption that Eli's not going to have a good enough hand to justify give him the extra prize here as problematic?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's reasonable. Jared is taking 2 prizes here, which shortens the game considerably, and he hasn't really thinned his deck very much.
Yeah, so it's going to make the mill out a little harder of a win con.
Yes, and so Jared also knowing he doesn't need a big bench, he doesn't want to put down his own Area 0 underdepths to help Eli out, so Eli's looking at another turn of just Regigating probably,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate because it's going to make it really, really hard for him to set up this win condition since he's going to need to mill a lot of cards very quickly.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if like something like Thornton could ever be like a good option here, just because like if that was played in the deck, you could just like get back the Barboach, but I think this turn Eli's gonna try to just further get all like the reversals in the discard, and yeah, just probably use that Regigate at the end of the turn.
I would agree. And so we do see a Rescue Stretcher in hand.
Yep.
Or counter, excuse me, a Night Stretcher in hand. So there is a way for Eli to, well, don't bench that guy yet. Play the Nest Ball, then don't bench that guy. But we are going to see Eli be able to like dig through the deck a little bit,
Yep.
set up the guy. We almost messed up because, again, Area 0 Underdepths requires a Terra Pokemon in play.
Yes.
All right, so then, Brian, what else is Eli doing this turn?
I like the Corner Pond coming out.
Yes.
Just because it activates that, and it also can make it a little difficult for other, attackers, to come into play. But I mean, that's like the biggest part about the turn is just being able to load up the bench. And the Carmine's coming out here.
Which is good. So the downside is this Corner Pond only has 210 HP. So if Jared fills his bench, he's going to be able to gust up and knock out that Corner Pond. And then that's going to put Eli in a very rough spot here.
I like how Eli is like organizing his bench too. It's like,
Yes.
we'll just put the Reggies over here and everything else over here.
Yes. All right, so then we are Regigating for a Regieleki, I believe, here, right? Is there ever a reason to get something different?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think you just want to get all the Reggies so you don't have to worry about it next turn.
Agreed. And I don't
Yeah.
think you want to try to play around Jared knocking something out because with that Pidgeot EX in play, you could just
Yeah.
gust something else and completely mess up your board.
Yeah, and I don't think Jared's able to get the same kind of turn that he did last turn where he was able to take out both Barboaches. So I think Eli's in a more safe position here to where he's able to just, play his game out.
Well, we shall see. So we do have an Iono in hand, which Jared probably doesn't want to play. But it really just comes down to, can he have Gust and the Dusknoir knockout?
Ooh.
Well, we have a Dusknoir in hand. It doesn't look like we have a rare candy. Is that a rare candy? Oh goodness. We may see the exact
The,
same
the
thing
exact same thing
all
happened.
over again. Yeah, we have the Dusknoir. We have a candy. We have out to Gus with the
Yeah, with the
Pidgeot.
Pidgeot.
And I think what Jared's just deciding is, do I knock out the Cornerstone or do I knock out both Barboach again? And I think it has to be the Barboach,
Yeah, I
right?
think it has to be the Barboaches. I think Jared, after reading what the Whiscash does, is kind of recognizing that that's the whole point of this this deck.
Right, exactly. Oh, we're
Oh,
just knocking out the active Reggie. Interesting. What do you think's the reasoning there?
oh, and does the promotion happen or the prize first?
I think the prize
The prize
first.
first, then the promotion.
Yes.
Okay,
All right, so we see the fighting Reggie come up.
okay.
So here's the thing, though, is at this point, Eli is in very real danger of not being able to mill Jared nearly quickly enough. Because Jared hasn't gone through much of his deck yet. So then,
Yeah.
if this mill win condition is not available, does Eli have another way to win this game?
I think he can, because I mean, all those Reggies are pretty decent attackers.
Well, they can be.
Yeah, they can be decent attackers. So, you can definitely play around using weakness and to to knock out maybe the Terapagos or the Pidgeot, just so climb back into the game. But
I guess that's true. The
yeah,
Reggie Rock can knock out the Terapagos,
yeah.
which is basically Eli's out then.
Yeah, because like I mean the Reggie Rock was used in a pretty similar way when Reggie's was back in the format to knock out RCSV.
True.
So
This
yeah,
is very true.
yeah,
The issue with that, though, is if Eli does go to prize trade at this point, Jared is going to be way too far ahead.
yes, definitely, I 100% agree.
And also, I
Yeah,
don't know if Eli plays enough basic fighting energy to actually use the Reggie V's
yeah,
attack or the baby Reggie Rock's attack.
yeah. I think he's relying purely on reversal.
Yes, which does not help for basic Pokemon.
Yes.
And we see another Dusclops come down and
Ooh,
Iono.
okay.
And so Jared will take 3, Eli will take 4, and this is just not going well for Whiscash.
Yeah. And that's another thing too, is like usually when Eli's this far behind, you would hope that Iona would get you 6 cards, but the Dusknoir took that away.
Yes.
Just because, you're giving your opponent prizes as well.
So I have a deep fear in my heart, Brian. The deep fear in my heart is that this format has taught us that Pheasantipity was not a good thing.
Yes.
I am scared the next format is going to teach us that Dusknoir is not a good
Yes,
thing.
and that this card is going to be terrorizing us for the next 2 years.
Yes, because it does not rotate for a
A
long time.
long time.
So we'll see. Because also, I mean, we were on a really good streak with Stage 2 EXs being strong,
Mhm.
long games, people being able to make comebacks, and looking at this game here, I don't feel a lot of confidence in a lot of that.
Yeah.
So I think what Eli may go for here is just I'm going to get at least 1 mil in. So we'll see if he can pull that off. We have pretty much all the pieces. We just need a Regirock and a Regice on the board. We need a Whiscash.
A
And that's really
Whiscash,
it.
yeah. I
So
wonder
this
if
is
they're
doable.
more Night Stretchers would definitely help.
Yes, and we have
Yeah.
Super Rod.
Yeah, Super Rod could also help as well.
So we can Night Stretcher one,
Yep.
Super Rod the others.
What do you think the Night Stretcher should grab? The Whiscash?
I think the Whiscash and then Super Rod in the basics, because the
Yeah.
basics are a little bit easier to find than the evolution. And we are luckily going to see a professor's research in hand. So this can help. But I agree, Brian. You said Thornton as a possible option. Thornton could be a really good inclusion in this list.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of saw how, like the Brazilian crew was really able to show how good Thornton is in Charizard,
Yeah,
and just show how powerful the card can be when it comes to needing to evolve.
right.
Yeah.
Which it's obviously a little bit of a different goal in Charizard,
Yes.
but the concept's kind of the same. You're
Yeah.
using Thornton to set up an evolution that your opponent tried to play around.
Yes.
And so Eli, relying on the research here, hoping to hit what he needs. My hope is that he would use that Pokegear first to try to dig and thin something out he doesn't want. But you could also just not.
Not do that.
No, and that's fine too.
Yes.
It's all good. So we need to see that Regirock, that Regice.
Oh, we got the Reggie Rock.
We did get the Regirock.
Yep.
And that looks like it is not what he needs.
Oh boy.
Well, that's not helpful
Yes.
either. I think at this point, Ela is just kind of like, you know what, man? You got it. Because I can't mill 25 cards in one turn.
Yeah.
So, anything else you think Eli could do here?
Don't know,
Oh,
actually.
and we're just going to Dustmar
Yep.
and knockout. It does not matter. So, we see, surprisingly enough, Whiscash lose. Unfortunate.
Yes.
But Terrapico's Dustmar seemed pretty good there, Brian.
Yeah, definitely did. I think all this deck needs is a refined list.
Yes.
Yes, I mean it's got so much potential with all these like support Pokemon that got printed in the same set. So all it really needs is a refined list, and then I think it's going to be in the format for a very long time.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Terrapicos is necessarily the right piece to go with it, but
Yes,
major.
or the star of the show even.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it might be just like the supporting piece.
Right. But some
Yes.
kind of primary efficient attacker with Dustmar, it's going to be good.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So we're going to jump over to our second game, which, speaking of those stage 2 evolutions, we currently have a Dustmar war happening over here
Yes.
in this matchup. So we have Ryan playing the same Bayonet list. I don't know if it's the exact same 60, but a similar list to what we just saw against Adam, currently playing Charizard, trying to do a very similar thing here. And so Adam, I'm just kind of recapping here, has a water bottle in front of the camera. But outside of that, Ryan has 2 prizes remaining. Adam has 3. Adam does have an out to Dusclops and a Radiant Charizard in play. And Bayonet has 250 HP. So there is a world where if Adam is able to use Dusclops or Dustmar to take a 1 prize knockout this turn, he can clean up the game with Radiant Charizard, but I don't know how likely it is based on his expression. We do see an Arven.
Ooh.
So, do we not have an Ultra Ball or a Dustmar in deck remaining? Interesting. Brian, can you tell if there is a Dustmar in
I
there?
don't know. I don't see one.
Because, I mean, that seems like the grab here is an
Yeah.
Ultra Ball for the Dustmar, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, we see the counter catcher. We see. Oh, but we still can win the game with a counter catcher and then Dusclops on the Blood Moon Ursaluna, assuming Adam has 3 and not 4 prizes remaining. We also have the Mew EX down. We see the Gust. We see the Belt, and we see the Knockout. Adam does have 2 prizes remaining.
2 prizes left. Okay.
So we'll see then, is Ryan able to take the knockout here? The answer is a hard yes. So we do see the Dustmar knockout
Yes, the
for
Dustmar
Adam
Warrior.
or for Ryan.
Yes.
Yeah, so this card could be a problem.
Yes, definitely.
So Brian, is there anything you think of that could help kind of keep it in check right now? Because we just saw 3 games in a row where Dustmar was incredibly impactful.
Yeah, I think the only thing is just cleaning it up early, like getting it off the board early. It feels like it kind of sucks to get it off the board so early, like in like taking early gusts to knock it out, but it can kind of save you later on in the game.
And that's part of the risk
Yeah.
too, is that if you do gust towards that like disruption card, you're leaving their primary attacker in play.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like the only other thing I could think of is like if because like decks like that utilize Radiant Greninja haven't really been in play as much.
Right.
Like Lost Box hasn't really been a thing. Qian Pao hasn't really been much of a thing either. So a lot of these decks are able to get away with all these little babies on the bench, and they're not getting punished as much for them.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely the type of meta for it.
Which is, I think, interesting to see. We'll see if that holds for Stellar Crown coming up for Louisville. And also, we're going to plug it about 1 billion times, but September 29th, we have the Nerd Rage League Cup $1,000 prize. It will be Stellar Crown format and is also the first weekend of the format. So all the lovely people you see here, except for Brian and me, because we're going to be talking, they are testing and preparing to play in that event.
Yes, and I can already tell there's going to be a lot of Dustmar there.
There will be a lot of Dustmar there, yes. So we're going to take, not a break from the stream, but we're going to give all the players a break as they set up for next round. And we're actually going to talk a little bit about Baltimore, though, taking a step back. We did just have Baltimore Regionals this past weekend, and I'm going to be super selfish and use this time to talk a little bit about my deck I played for number 84
I know,
at the Regionals.
I was about to say, let's get the elephant out of the room here. Come on.
Yes, I did play in Baltimore. I
Yes.
got day 2 with a deck that is not Lost Zone Giratina, which is glorious. And Bryce, actually pulled up my Limitless page, which I really appreciate because I actually have entries on there now, which is glorious.
Yeah.
So the deck I chose to play was Ancient Box. And Bryce, that is the incorrect window, but I
Yep.
appreciate you throwing up anyway.
Yes.
Can you open it as an image just so it's a little easier to see? Yep,
Yeah.
perfect. So I played Ancient Box at this event, and credit to Kevin Deitch, who's currently at an awesome concert right now. But he's the one who actually put together the full list that I chose to play because I didn't know what to play. I
Yeah.
had been trying out Miraidon, trying out Moon, trying out Regidrago, and they all felt like crap. So why not play Ancient?
Yeah. And it was a good list. I know he had won a cup with it. A lot of our friend group was able to do pretty well with it at local events too. So it seemed like the go-to play. And one of those last minute decisions that you guys had was actually lowering the count of the Walking Wake and going up on the Great Tusks.
Yes,
And what was
exactly.
the main rationale on that, do you think?
So this deck really has two win conditions. One is you take prizes, and for that you really rely on Roaring Moon. The other is milling out your opponent is a very real true win condition, especially in the matchups that kind of turbo burn through their deck. Or on the flip side, decks that don't try to take prizes themselves and instead try to wear out your resources.
Hmm.
So against something like Snorlax, if you just throw down a whole board of 4 Fluttermane, a Moon, and a Tusk, you could just mill them into oblivion
Yeah.
and never stress about actually trying to take prizes and just deck them out before they deck you out. For a bunch of the matchups I hit, especially Regidrago, in order for them to keep pace with the aggression of your deck, since you have a lot of HP on your guys, they typically need to get burned pretty deep into their deck in order to find their attackers, their switch cards, their energy switches. So I had more than a few games where I won purely by being able to Great Tusk Mill their last 4 cards and
Yeah.
win the game like that, even if they were going to win next turn or a turn or two from then. And Dan, Drago does not suck, but it was a remarkably good matchup for this deck. I think I went 5-1 against Drago
Oh
on the
wow.
weekend. My one loss was to Rowan Stabenow, who
Yeah, phenomenal player.
is significantly better player than I am, and I will be happy to state that
Yeah.
time and time again. Also was a very nice dude.
Yes.
But yeah, so talking through the list a little bit, just like you said, the Pokemon lines, the kind of interesting one. One Great Tusk doesn't seem like a huge deal, but to be honest, man, is probably the best starter in the deck.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a very easy to power up attack. It doesn't have any sort of special energy cost or anything like that. As long as SADA and attach, you can start milling.
And that's kind of what it was for, is
Yeah.
in almost every matchup, you're willing to give up a prize or two anyway. So why give up an attacker that I'm going to need to work hard to stream later
Hmm.
when I could give up a Tusk? I kind of wanted the discard anyway, and I can get rid of some key resources from my opponent.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like Ancient Box is one of those decks that kind of thrives from being behind anyways, because you
Yes.
trade into other bigger decks so much easier anyways.
And I had a bunch of people call it the new Giratina
Yeah.
because it is single prize deck,
Yeah.
long games, force your opponent to use all their resources and then
Yep.
put them in a checkmate. Yeah, that sounds about right. And Mo, the reason I did not play Stall is because my religious beliefs prevent me from ever playing Stall or Control to a major event. I refuse. I refuse. But no, so Tusk is a huge deal because it does force your opponent to play differently too. Not
Yes.
just being able to actually win with it, but when your opponent is deciding whether or not I can dig, I can push, I can try to set up a much more dramatic knockout on their end, you put down the little cow thing and say, hey, you can do that, but there's a chance I just win the game in 2 attacks without taking a prize.
Exactly.
And so it can force your opponent to make suboptimal decisions. All right, so Brian, what other questions do you have? What do you think would be good to talk about with this list?
The Dark Patch.
The Dark
I
Patch.
think the Dark Patch was a cool addition. How big of an impact did the Dark Patch have in your run?
The A-Spec Dark Patch was good.
Yeah, the
It was
Patch.
legitimately very good because
Yes.
being able to accelerate energy is obviously a limited resource there with Sada. So I used it to set up a checkmate twice, I think, and I used it just for general good value a bunch of other times.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was really important because it also enabled plays with Prime Catcher, where I could put down a Moon, attach from hand, Dark Patch, and play an Explorer's Guidance to dig for the Gust, to then, or dig for the energy, whatever the missing piece was, to then take a knockout to either win the game or continue to apply the pressure I needed to.
Yeah, definitely. The Dark Patch is definitely like a really cool thing that not a lot of people were playing.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I feel like one is just good.
Yes.
Like at least one is good,
Yeah.
though.
And there's like no harm in having it in the deck. It seems
Right.
like, yeah.
The risk is always just, are you removing too many ancient cards that decrease your total damage
Yes.
output? But with the 4 vessel, 4 booster capsule, 12 Pokemon, 8 supporters, there were plenty there where you could reach pretty high.
Yeah, definitely.
I never one shot a Charizard. I will be
Yes.
honest about that. Never one shot a 2-stage or a stage 2 EX, but we got there for V stars. All right, so then the other thing I did just want to know with the list is Prime Catcher. Because, Brian, when you've heard people talk about Ancient, what do you usually hear as the A-Spec in there?
Secret Box.
Mm-hmm.
I've been hearing Secret Box because, I mean, Zach Lesage played that to NAIC, and he got to show how cool it is because, I mean, you can pitch 4 Ancients, and then you can get, like, your Pokestop, you can get a Sada, you can get, like, what else can you get? Like a Tool.
Yeah, you get
Yeah.
the Tool, Supporter, Item Card, and Stadium.
And Stadium. So you're able to just get all the resources you kind of need
Yes.
at the expense of one card.
Which is extremely good.
Yes.
And I have no argument on that. It is
Yes.
really good. There were, I think, 2 games where if I had Secret Box instead of Prime Catcher, maybe I get to play the game.
Yeah.
The problem is in the other 27 to 29 games that I
Yeah.
played, like having the 3rd item-based Gust was just so good.
Yeah, I think Prime Catcher is just so much better just because you can use it to uptrade so much better,
Yeah.
You know, you get the 2 prizer on like the Rotom, you get the 2 prizer on like the Lumineon, or you
Exactly.
take out their only attacker in play. It just has so much agency in the game, and it's something that a lot of people have to play around.
Yes, and it enables you to win against stuff like Regidrago or Dragapult, whatever, that tries to set up a 2-prize closeout turn or something similar. You can still Gust even while being ahead or even on prizes without having to use boss's orders.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's a huge deal then because you can set up with Sada multiple attackers or set up an attacker and still Gust to close out the game, knowing that if you don't, you lose the next turn,
Mhm.
even if you are technically ahead on prizes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Prime Catcher was fantastic. To be honest, I would fully recommend this list if anyone is playing in a cup or something this week. I took 4 losses, 9 wins, 4 losses, 9-4 for 84th place, rip. But my losses were to one was shoot, what was even my first loss? Oh, to Charizard.
Okay, which is generally unfavored, but
is-
winnable.
Is generally favored.
Yeah.
For both of those, I lost twice to Charizard. Once day 1, once day 2. For day 1, I lost game 1 because I didn't attack.
Yeah.
I won game 2 because I did attack.
Yeah.
And then I lost game 3 because I didn't attack.
Yeah.
So there was not a lot of agency in those games. Other loss day 1 was to Rowan Stabenow playing Regidrago V-Star. Primary thing that went wrong in that game is he played much better than me.
Yes.
But in legitimacy, game 1, I was in a position to win. All I had to do was find a Gust. I was able to Pokestop. I was able to draw with a supporter. I was able to thin my deck. And I saw maybe like 8 or 9 cards and didn't hit it. So it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
That's how it be. And then day 2 lost to a Moon, Roaring Moon, which is a very good matchup because game 1 and game 2, I did not see an energy for 3 or 4 turns.
Oh boy.
Or game 1 and game 3, excuse me. Game
Mhm.
2, I won because it is a favorite matchup. And then last round I lost of the day, like I said, was the Charizard.
Mhm.
And just, I bricked to oblivion game 3 after winning game 2 and bricking game 1. So those are the rounds where having Secret Box could have been very helpful in those specific games
Yeah.
where I had Prime Catcher in hand and nothing else really.
Mhm.
But for all the other games, I won a ton of those because I found Prime Catcher late. I was able to explore his guidance into Prime Catcher. I was able to Pokestop into Prime Catcher. Like, that enabled me to have enough Gust to close out the game because a lot of these decks I played against, they had so many weak 2-prize liabilities on the bench. So then, Brian, if you were looking at this list, what changes would you make going into Cups this week before the format shifts?
I don't know. I mean, I like the list. If I would find a way to get a 4th Pokestop, that's like the only thing I could do, but I don't really know what you can sacrifice. That's my only thing because the counts of everything else look so good.
And that was actually the thing.
Yeah.
The 3rd Tusk was actually 4th Pokestop.
Oh, okay.
And so we were debating between 4th Pokestop being 3rd Tusk, being
Mhm.
another Dark Patch, being another Gust, something else
Yeah.
to fill this, even a 7th Energy. And to be honest, I would rather either it be 3rd Tusk or 7th Energy because I think missing Energy was way more problematic
Yeah.
than missing anything else.
Definitely.
So yeah, the other thing I recommend with this list, and same recommendation I give wherever, just practice, man.
Yeah, just gotta play,
Play some games.
get the reps in.
I lost a bunch of games because I hadn't practiced enough or played around stuff enough, which I was luckily usually able to steal the round, but just practice, guys. So Brian, we talked about my list, talked about my run a little bit. I was very Poke famous briefly.
Yes.
It was wonderful. What is a deck you think would be good to talk about?
So the deck that I've been getting the most reps in, I really like Kieran's Lugia list a lot.
Interesting. So Bryce, can you pull up the second place list from the
Yeah,
tournament?
friend of the team, Kieran Farah, was able to get second place with Lugia.
Rip or fall.
Yeah, rip or fall. But I've been actually playing this list a lot lately, and I haven't really been losing much.
Well,
Everything.
that's probably good.
Yeah. I mean, like he went over like the deck, why you played certain things, and it really convinced me to, switch over to what he liked because I've always liked the 3/3 Chinchino line.
Mhm.
I think it trades into like stuff like Ancient Box like super, super well to the
Yes.
point where it's like an auto win. But the consistency factor of it was like the big thing. So like he said something about how Squawk is so much better than Carmine.
Yes.
And it really is. Like being able to the combo of like Jacques Squawk going
Yeah.
second is like such a crazy combo to do. Like you don't have to worry about Archeops anymore. Like you pretty much just like try to get your board set up to where you can V-Star the next turn and you're fine. I really like the energy count a lot. It plays 17 energy. The 4 double turbo is really nice when you have to use the Weird Ear as an attacker.
Yes.
And being able to have both Chinchino and Weird Ear as potential attackers is just a really flexible way to go about. And Kieran said it best. I mean, if Lugia is able to set up, it's like the best deck in the in the format.
It beats everything
Yeah,
else.
it beats everything else. And I kind of learned that, and it's like a reason why I feel like I like this deck so much is because I guess I gravitate towards the decks that beat everything but lose to itself.
And see, I'm actually
Yeah.
going the complete
Yes.
opposite direction of that now. But yes.
Yeah.
So one thing, Kieran Farah, Shift Gear podcast with Anil. Anil's my boy. He and
Yep.
I were at the Baltimore Ravens game on
Yeah.
Sunday while Kieran was still winning games.
Still winning games.
But check out the Shift Gear podcast. They did do a great conversation
Yeah,
about this. And
you'll definitely learn a lot. I mean, I was able to get a lot out of it just from them talking about the deck.
yes.
Yeah.
And I'd say both brilliant players too, so recommend them in general.
Yeah, definitely.
So let me do this. We're going to give you guys a quick break while we get the next round set up. But like I said, check out the Shift Gear podcast. And Brian, we'll give you a chance to keep talking more about Lugia in a second here
Yeah.
as we get this all set up.
Sounds good.
All right, beautiful. We will be back in 30 seconds here at Nerd Rage Gaming. Welcome back, everyone, to round 3 of the Nerd Rage League tournament. And we have Ryan back again. He's
Yep.
like, Dan, why am I here
Yeah.
again? But we did want to see a really cool matchup, which is Bayonet Dustmar into Palkia V-Star. So, Brian, tell us about Palkia.
Yeah, so Palkia was a terror right around the time that I started playing, and right around the time that Trevor started playing too. We were both around. Oh, make sure Trevor puts his prizes
Yep, we're
out.
good. We got
Perfect.
prizes.
We're good.
Excellent.
We're good. But it was a very big terror just because it has a very low cost attack, and it hits for pretty big numbers, and that's when the set that Radiant Greninja and Irida released. So.
Yes.
And it also took advantage of the Shady Dealings engine. So being able to get, stuff like Capricious Bucket,
Capacious, but yes.
Capacious Bucket,
Yes.
and other useful items, made the deck very powerful. And whenever people think of Palkia, I think the one picture everyone knows about is the Australian regional where the whole
Oh my
top card
goodness,
was
yes.
Palkia.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is wild.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is half of that was Inteleon, half of that was Turbo Palkia. So
Yeah.
it wasn't even the same deck.
Yeah.
I actually played Palkia Ice Rider Worlds in 2022. So I
Yeah.
agree. It is such a strong deck. And like you said, this new Noctowl, it is basically the second calling of Shady Dealings.
Yeah. And another thing that really helps Palkia is that now that you have the Area Zero, your damage isn't really capped that much anymore. You can hit for bigger numbers with Palkia V-Star now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so we see Ryan set up double Dustmar, double Shuppet, which is pretty good, especially going first, knowing that Trevor's not really going to be able to Greninja snipe.
Yeah, and going second was definitely not the most optimal thing for Trevor, just because he wants to go first. Like, you want to be able to get the Palkia V-Star into play as soon as possible, and really start beating down and getting those really easy knockouts with the Palkia V-Star.
Yes, agreed. And so what I would actually love to see here for Trevor, regardless of what he sets up on his bench, I would just love to see a manual attachment to the active Terrapagos.
Yes, definitely. I would agree.
And so why do you think that's so important?
Just because you kind of need the pivot, as well as it helps to set up the attack for the next turn. It kind of gives you a direction on like what you want to do next turn. Do you want to retreat out into something else? Do you want to be able to attack? You kind of have like a couple different options. What were you really thinking with it?
No, I was thinking
Yeah.
very similar. To me, the big thing is just that Ryan, a lot of Bayonet's game plan is to stall, is to like set up something that Trevor can't move, place damage counters, item lock, and then set up a kind of board wipe moment. If Trevor has an energy on everything where it can be retreated for a single energy or attack, then he's going to be in a very, very good position here. So
Yeah,
being able to get that manual attachment on Terrapagos means that no matter what Ryan puts into the active, Trevor will be either a manual or a V-Star attachment away from attacking and hitting the active, likely for close to a knockout.
Yeah, definitely. And, he was really able to just get everything here. I think this hand is kind of crazy.
His hand is
Yeah.
wild. Even if it's very simple, it's wild.
Yeah.
And so we will not see a knockout here, obviously, because Trevor doesn't have anything that can attack or use that V-Star to accelerate. But
Yeah, and the Terrapagos isn't able to attack on turn 1 either.
correct.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
Because that would not be healthy.
Yes, it would not.
So then what do you think Trevor's trying to do then for the rest of this turn?
Yeah, so I really like how he sequenced it with the earthen vessels, where you pitch the energy, you get you get 2 more, and trying to get the water energies into the discard pile really helps for when the star portal comes out. That's what it's called, correct?
Yes,
Star portal comes out, and that's going to accelerate 3 energy to water Pokemon. So it's going to really help with that. All we really need to see here now is that manual attachment.
I think we also want to see a Tails for a
Ooh.
We want a Tails for a Hoot Hoot. I believe.
Ooh, you see that?
Wait, we have a Blissey?
Blissey.
That I did not see coming.
Yeah.
Did you know it was a Blissey?
I knew there was a Chansey.
That's wow. And yes, Ryan is an incredible player, especially for as little as he plays. So y'all should hire him.
Yes.
I don't even know if he does do coaching, but y'all should hire him. And so then what is Trevor doing here? What's the move?
Yeah, I don't know. So I think that's the Blissey that allows you to move an energy during the turn.
Yes, it is. And do we have a Chansey to bench? We have an Iridon hand? I'm wondering if Trevor even squawks this hand at this point.
Yeah. I don't think so either.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because
V-Star.
because the prime catcher's in there.
We are gonna prime catcher. I actually
Oh,
really like this.
yeah, the
I like
motivate.
this a lot. The
I mean, the
motivate.
motivate helps so much because it accelerates energy and it keeps that energy onto the Squawkabilly.
No, not on the Pokemon.
Oh,
We were so good for a minute. Well, the Giga Brain seemed less brainful at this point, but that's okay because you haven't taken a knockout. So Ryan would have to use a boss's orders or a prime catcher in order to gust up that Terapagos and stall it.
yeah,
And B, yes, it was just a brain move.
yes.
Correct. All right, so Brian, keep going. You were saying something about
Yeah, so
Ryan's
I
turn.
I think the reason why Trevor put it onto the Palkia is I think he's gonna go for a play to where he can return knockout the Banette EX if that goes into
Ah,
play.
yes.
So I think that's the play here, but I think Ryan's trying to go in a different direction and start going with the Dusk Noir to establish his board state.
Well, he could technically knock out either the Squawk or even the Palkia V
Yeah,
with a double Dustmar, or in the case of the Squawk, a Dustmar Dusclops, which that would be a big swing if he's
yeah.
able to pull that off.
I don't know with the hand that he currently has, it's gonna be a little difficult to do so.
Yeah, I don't know how likely it is,
Yeah. Well,
but
is that a research
I
off the
think
top?
that is a
Never mind.
research.
Then I take back everything I said.
Right, that does help a lot.
Yes, that definitely does help.
So we can see the energy attachment to the
Yep.
active, and then I don't think we have a rare candy or anything, unfortunately. So yeah, we'll just see the professor's research. And then we see 7 cards for Ryan come down. We want to hit Benetti X. What else do we want to hit?
We definitely wanted to hit Rare Candy Dusk Noir.
B, are you talking about the specific types of Duskull being played?
Yeah, I believe so.
I think those
Yeah.
are literally just the ones he had available.
Yeah.
I would love to say it's a bigger brain beyond that, but I think that really is just it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people on Twitter have been discoursing about the most optimal Duskull, and they were thinking it's the older one just because it has a confusion flip.
Yeah, the Perplex flip or
Yeah,
Perplex flip. I think that is
yeah,
good. If you're going for a big turbo Duskull deck, maybe filling some more on your bench is okay.
yeah,
But yeah, I think it makes sense. The issue is, and Zaya Lee, Isaiah Chevelle, great guy, he also pointed out that one of the big things is accessibility for that card.
yeah,
Because this is like a 2.5-year-old card.
yeah, definitely.
All right, so Ryan is Ultra Balling, going to be able to get that Bayonet EX. So we will see item lock this turn, but
Yeah,
I don't know how good he feels about that turn otherwise.
yeah. He definitely had the option of going for the Dusk Noir, but I do like at least if you have the Banette, you can start the item lock and try to put Trevor behind.
And I think that's exactly the idea is if I'm item locking, can Trevor actually like get enough Pokemon down to take a one shot?
Yeah. And I think this kind of puts him into the position that we were talking about the last turn. And I think if Trevor's able to load up his bench, I think he can hit for enough damage. Because wasn't Palkia capping out at 260
Exactly.
damage?
If
Yeah.
Trevor is able to bench one more Pokemon, he will be able to take the knockout here.
Yeah.
And with that Irida in hand, he'll be able to do that.
Yeah, and then some.
Well, and also he's got the Area
Yeah, the
Zero, so he's going to
Area
be able to do
Zero.
a lot.
Yes.
So I would actually like to see the Greninja draw, unless Trevor is debating keeping that energy available to manually attach.
Yeah, I definitely prefer the Greninja because you're able to Night Stretcher for it back anyways if you wanted it.
Well, he can't right now because of that item lock,
Oh, yeah, that's true. Very true.
which I think may be his decision of is
Yeah.
it better to just hold the energy here?
Yeah.
And I think the heavy ball Palkia is probably good
Yeah, definitely.
just to be able to access more basics if Ryan does miss the item lock. But yeah, we're going to be able to take a knockout here, doing 240 damage with Palkia V-Star.
Yeah, and I mean, it really shows how important that 20 damage from the last turn really was.
That was a huge
Yeah.
deal because otherwise Trevor would have to raw draw into another Pokemon.
Yeah.
And just deciding, I think, if the heavy ball's the right keep. Which unfortunately, no matter what Trevor takes,
Yeah, he's not going to be able to use it.
right. But having the heavy ball for and out to other Pokemon, I think, is a really good decision here.
Definitely. I definitely agree. And it really just shows like how powerful this deck is going to be coming into the format.
So
Oh,
can't
whoa,
play
whoa, I
that.
can't play that.
Nope. Oh, okay. All right, we're good. We're good. Everything's fine. We're good. So we do see the bench of the Palkia. Likely, we will just see the retreat and knockout, which, to be fair, is plenty good of a turn.
Yes, definitely. I'd like to see the draw too.
I'm debating on the draw.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do see the draw, which is fine.
Yeah.
We see Fan Rotom, which unfortunately cannot be used now.
But can be used for bench damage.
It can. It
Yes.
can be used for bench damage if necessary.
And I'm wondering if you put down the Area Zero so soon.
I don't think there's
Yeah.
particularly a downside since any stadium that Ryan puts down probably is going to help Trevor out a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, so we see the retreat into Palkia V-Star, and we will see that subspace swell for 240 and the knockout, unless we see the Fan Rotom bench, which we are not. We'll just see the knockout.
Oh, there
Oh,
we
we
go.
do see the Fan Rotom come down.
Yeah, I don't think there's any harm in putting the Fan Rotom down just because you have all. You're not. It's not like you're bench locked or anything.
And that is true.
Yeah.
Oh, we do see a Chansey come out, which is
Yeah.
good.
Oh, it's not the Chansey that gives you the extra prize on roll
So
though.
I was just going to ask you about
Yeah,
that. Do you think that would be the optimal Chansey here?
absolutely. I think you have to play that one.
And I mean, I would agree.
Yeah.
The HP difference is not very big. The attacks don't really matter. So why not be able to get yourself a bonus prize every now and
Yeah,
then?
I think the only reason I would think otherwise is if there's like a big retreat difference.
Yes, and I
Yeah.
don't think there is. They're
Yeah.
both fat.
Yeah.
All right, so we see Ryan go into the Duskull. I think trying to pull off a Dustmar play here.
Yeah.
We have another Bayonet EX in hand, which is really good for Ryan. And we are able to evolve it up. We have the Iono,
Yeah, there's a lot that he can really do here.
but are we seeing the Iono prior to the Bayonet?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that the evolution would kind of happen, or like I think there might have been a rare candy play he could have done. I don't really know if he had the Dusknoir in hand.
No, I would agree. And
Yeah.
so we see a Dust. Oh, we see a Bayonet for the supporter. We do not see another Bayonet EX. We see a Squawk. Oh, and that's a good point. So there are chances that have 120 HP, and maybe that is the difference maker. But
Yeah.
I honestly don't know how much play Regidrago V-Star is going to see in this upcoming format.
Yeah.
All right, so we see the Buddy Poffin for Ryan, because Ryan's allowed to play items. And it looks like we're just going to see a failure. Even though Area Zero Underdepths is down, Ryan still only gets 5 Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because you do need that terrestrial Pokemon in play. So, Brian, what's Ryan trying to do this turn?
I think Ryan can try to just cheat out like a. If he's able to cheat out any sort of, well, I like that the deck shuffled, right? So if you play the
Yes.
Pokestop, you can try to get the items down, right?
Yes.
Try to cheat out like a, ooh,
So that's
Rare
the
candy
only
play.
downside to shuffling first. Though Ryan did have a bunch of
Yeah.
rare candies in hand, is you possibly lose the Bayonet EX.
yeah,
But the good thing here is if Ryan finds an out to Dusknoir, he can actually knock out that Squawkabilly.
mm-hmm.
And that's pretty big because then you're able to take a prize or take 2 prizes, knock out one of Trevor's main guys, well, at least bench guys that was applying damage, and then go from there. But honestly, it looks like Ryan's hand is just dead right now.
Yeah, definitely.
So then if you're Trevor, is this a turn where you Radiant Greninja?
I was just thinking about that, and I want to say no
Okay, so why is that?
because I don't really like the idea of taking the 2 energies off of the active and accelerating 3 with the V-Star just to lose the attacker. Because if you think about it, I think Trevor attacks into one of the babies, goes down to 3 prizes, and if Ryan ends up using like a Dusknoir or something like that, it brings Trevor back into even pricing.
So I agree with that, except if Trevor has an out to knock out both Shuppets,
Oh yeah, I can get behind that.
yeah,
Yeah.
then I think it's worth it because if you prevent Ryan from being able to item lock next turn,
Yeah.
then I think that attack is absolutely worth it because you've bought yourself another turn to use those glass trumpets to accelerate energy,
Yes.
to
That
use
you know
whatever else you want to
that
use.
definitely makes sense. And the items are back online now.
Yes. And that was a very, very unfortunate Pokestop for
Yeah.
Trevor there. So I agree, I'm saying at least I think Greninja's the right play here.
Yeah.
Brian, if Trevor does not go with the ninja line, what is the move for him?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like what I was talking about the last turn, just being able to keep the just to keep your attackers going and just like playing around the fact that Dusknoir is going to get you back onto even pricing.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's very reasonable.
Mhm.
Because Trevor does have 2 prizes remaining. He has taken a 2-prize knockout. Ryan will likely use at least 1 to 2 Dusknoir during the next turn. And I think then Trevor's just looking for that Palkia V-Star here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just get your next attacker set up.
For sure. And so I'm curious what decision he makes here. I don't know if I'd
Yeah.
want to play the Iono knowing that Ryan's hand just kind of bricked right there.
Yeah, and I mean, he only has 3 cards in hand. You're pretty much just going to be giving him like a fresh hand.
Right. All right, so we
Oh,
do have a Hoot Hoot we could bench.
ooh, not the biggest fan of the play, but
Me neither. So why
yeah,
do you think he is doing that?
I think he just wants more resources.
Which is fair.
Yeah, which is fair, but I think you kind of want to take advantage of the fact that your opponent doesn't have that great of a hand.
Is that
Is that a Wellspring
I think it
Ogerpon?
is a Wellspring Ogrepon. So Brian,
Yeah.
why do you think Trevor would have that in his list?
Yeah, it's pretty much just like having a second Greninja almost, except well, not like a second Greninja, more like the Amazing Rare Raikou,
Yes.
where it hits 100 into the active and 120 onto the bench.
And you do get
Yeah,
to shuffle all the energy back into your deck rather than discarding two of them.
yeah,
But I would still say, I still think the Greninja play, knocking out the Shuppets, preventing the item lock, like that's got to be the move,
yeah,
right?
definitely. I definitely can see it being the move.
Unless Ryan is benched or discard a Salvatore or something like that that we think could be valuable,
Yeah,
like, bro, when in doubt, just ruin your opponent's ability to play the game.
yeah, definitely.
All right, so then Trevor still has a couple ball search cards. I would kind of love to see a Hoot Hoot come down, but
There's no Area Zero though, so that cannot
oh,
go into play.
that
Yeah,
is a problematic thing to
yes.
have. So yeah,
Yeah, so now we're kind of just thinking this over here.
I know. And one thing to note, not that Trevor plays slow, 'cause he actually makes very good pacing and decisions. Pace of play, guys, is going to be a huge thing this season at regionals because a tie is essentially a loss. And I
Yeah,
think I made 4 or 5 gentlemen's agreements throughout the
that was
weekend.
just about what I was about to ask you is
Yeah.
how many gentlemen's agreements did you end up making?
I was very grateful. The ones I made all went my way, but in Orlando and at Worlds, I conceded when they did
Yeah,
not go my way. So
yeah,
sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And perfect.
perfect.
Trevor does make the play to ruin Ryan's ability to try to item lock. And it prevents Ryan from being able to use more than one Dust Noir since Ryan can't give up 2 more prizes.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean that's a big part of too why Trevor already set up one energy onto that Palkia on the bench.
Yeah.
So if he's put into that situation where he only has one prize left, all he needs to do is attach for turn, and he can knock out the last Pokemon.
Yes. And so Ryan does have the opportunity to go into his Blood Moon Ursaluna. So he could take a knockout and he could Dusclops and then Blood Moon Ursaluna knock out that Palkia V Star with the water energy. But I'll be honest with you, man, that's asking a lot.
Yeah, definitely is.
And so Ryan still has to take 6 prizes himself. So it wouldn't be like he could take the one knockout and be in a game winning position next turn since he wouldn't be able to use Dusclops after
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
So then what does Ryan do here in this situation?
I kind of like the first part of the plan here. I see that he's got Prime Catcher in hand and that he's got Ursaluna. Um,
Trevor is tuning into us right now. Listen,
yes,
y'all know you shouldn't listen to me, but Trevor's making good choices.
yes, and he's being rewarded with good sequencing because Ryan's kind of in a pickle here.
He is. That was a tough part about evolving up that Bayonet is you kind of said, hey, Trevor, these 2 guys are my attackers. I can't protect them.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Have at, dude.
yeah. And I think the main reason to put that baby Banette down is like you can just search out Iono from the discard and play it when he's got 2 prizes left. But I don't really know how much of a difference that'll make.
I think it could make a difference if Trevor hadn't done a play like that.
Yeah,
And the 2 candy could be helpful. But
yeah,
again, Ryan's got one play with that Dust Noir.
yeah,
All right, so we can, however, see the not well. Here's the thing we can
yeah,
see. We can't see the knockout on Squawk with Dust Noir. We can see the gust up Terapagos and knock it out with Blood Moon. We can keep Ryan's bench thin so that way Palkia can't reach a one-shot without an Area Zero.
yeah,
And then we can Iono to 1. And that could be a huge swing here.
definitely.
All right, so we see the Night Stretcher.
Yep, and that attachment's probably going to go onto the Ursaluna.
I think it's actually going to go on the Duskull because what we're like.
Oh, because the Dust Noir would let it attack for free.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so then what I would like to see is a Dusk Noir pop first.
Yes.
Yep. Oh, we are actually going to see the
Oh,
knockout on
wow.
Palkia. Okay. So we see the Duskull go into the active. Oh, goodness. Lots of stuff. And then 3 is on the squawk. Good, good. Then we should see the prime catcher on the Palkia. Yep. And then we see the Iono to 1. And so
Wow.
this is a big swing for Ryan. Ryan is trying to play to his outs here. I just don't know if it'll be enough.
Yeah, I wonder what that one card that he ended up getting was.
I am fascinated to know what
Yes.
that one card is. All right, so we
Yeah.
do have the Duskull available. I don't think Dusclops or Duskmar have an attack that Ryan would want to use, though.
I don't think so either.
But yeah, so we'll just see the knockout on this Palkia by Ryan and the Blood Moon Ursaluna. Ryan goes down to 4 prizes remaining. Trevor draws his second card. It is a Noctowl. Oh, and this is why having that Hoot Hoot down early would have been so valuable
Yeah,
because
definitely. Oh, draw 3.
oh, I mean that's okay. That's pretty
That
good.
kind of helps.
Yeah, that's fine. And so we can at this point, Buddy Poffin out that Hoot Hoot, and then we're probably cruising.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you kind of take like a turn off. It's nice though because the Ursaluna can't attack, and Ryan can't use any sort of Duskull or Dusk Noir anymore because Trevor's only got 1 prize left.
Right.
The Area 0 helps a lot just because you can't really get punished super hard for having 2 Hoot Hoots down, and it also helps with the damage with the Palkia too. So
It does.
lots of benefits here with that draw 3 that Trevor ended up getting.
Well, and actually, if there's any water energy in deck, I almost say this is a motivate turn.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if you motivate to the Terapagos or to the Palkia, you're going to one-shot whatever Ryan throws up.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree. And I mean, having the Super Rod allows you to do that.
Yes. And so, well, honestly, having the Super Rod be able to be discarded by the Earthen Vessel, are we discarding the Hoot Hoot? Or the Noctowl?
Ooh, I don't know about discarding the
I don't
Noctowl.
like that.
Yeah, so I think just play. Ooh, actually, yeah, that's tough
So why don't you like that?
because you need the Noctowl for the next turn.
Yes. Is-
But I think Trevor's banking on maybe he Earthen Vessels and then is able to draw into another one.
Maybe, but man,
Yeah.
keeping that Noctowl alive seems so good.
Yeah.
All right, so we do see the 2 energy coming. I'm just wondering if there's another energy in deck. 'Cause
Yeah.
if there's one other energy in deck,
Then there's no point. Yeah.
right, the motivate here just seems so good.
Yeah. And if the motivate play happened that way, how do you think you disperse the energies? Do you go like
I would put 2 onto Palkia.
yeah?
Because
Does it
you-
only go onto 1?
it only goes
Oh,
on
yeah.
to 1. So you can use Glass Trumpet to accelerate colorless or water to colorless Pokemon on the
Oh,
he
he
just
draws
draws
into it.
Noctowl.
Never,
anyway,
never
that's fine.
punished.
All right, yeah,
Never
that's fine.
punished.
But I still would want to see the motivate here.
Yes, I 1000% agree. I think the motivate is definitely the play here.
Yep. So we see the retreat. And we are gonna see the motivate. Perfect. And do you agree onto the Palkia?
Yeah, I agree on to the Palkia definitely.
All right.
Because I mean, Ryan's gonna need to find a way to get that Ursaluna out of the active. Otherwise, I think Trevor will find a way to knock it out either way.
I would agree.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a good way for Ryan to take out. It has to go to the Bryce. Can you let him know it has to go to the same Pokemon?
Yep.
Because obviously this could be a big deal based on how Ryan
Yeah.
wants to approach this turn. But granted, Ryan also doesn't have a Shup It Down.
Oh, I think they know now.
Yep. All right.
All right,
Perfect.
cool.
And yep,
Beautiful.
both go on to the Palkia. So then we'll see what Ryan draws here.
Thank you, Bryce.
Thank you, Bryce. Appreciate it. Bryce, always keeping us
Yes.
alive here. All right. So Brian, tell me, what is Ryan's turn?
I do not know Ryan's turn because he's got a lot of, I think maybe Bennett for does he have Iono in hand?
He does have
I
Iono
think
in
I
hand.
think you got to play Iono.
You have to play
Yeah, I
Iono.
think you kind of have to.
I think Ryan's debating, can I find a switch?
Yeah.
And even if he does find a switch, that Ursaluna is very possibly dead anyway.
Yeah.
So
Trevor might have just set up a checkmate here.
I think so. And
Yeah.
I mean, it was a really, really well played. Ah.
Yeah.
And that's what we may have to do.
Oh,
is
do we go-
perplex.
Oh, is this the switch for the?
So we do see the stadium go down. We do see the fan. Yes, get rid of the
Yes,
fan
please
rotom.
get rid of the fan rotom.
No, you can't do that
No,
because you
you
can't
can't
use
do that.
knocked out. I think
Oh,
Trevor literally
thank
just
you.
said out
Oh,
loud, I
thank
can't
you.
use knockout if I get rid of
Thank you,
that.
thank you.
There's going to be a lot of this, guys, early in the format of
Yeah,
forgetting what we can do. All right, and we see the energy or get thinned out of the deck with that earthen vessel. Ryan having a moment of crisis. Not sure what the process is.
yeah.
He's very upset about it.
I
All right, and then is this just Iono?
think it is.
So to be clear, Dustmark does not have an attack.
That is good.
Right.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that, and then I saw how many energy were needed, and I was like, I don't think that seems very
I
realistic.
don't think that's happening right
Yeah,
now. Now we could see something real crazy, and we could see a Shuppet item block. Although I believe Ryan already attached return to the
yes, he did to the other
Duskull.
Duskull.
All right, so we see the Mew come down, and then this is so interesting. I'm not sure what Ryan's strategy is here.
Yeah, not so sure either.
To be honest, the Perplex is probably pretty good if we get stuck. So keeping the energy available on that Duskull seems good.
Yes.
And I think, yeah, Ryan's just going to rip the Iono and see what we get. And that seems good. Trevor drew enough cards, saw good things, got the hoots down. Like, just want to make sure he has as little to work with as possible.
Yeah.
All right, so then is there a line of play that you see that this could work for Ryan?
Oh, there's a switch.
Ooh, that
Ooh.
is a big deal.
Oh, is that the correct one?
It is,
Oh,
because we're going to switch,
okay.
retreat,
I thought we were going for the perplex play.
and then we're going to lost zone the Bayonet, get a support out of the deck, and we are still in this game.
Yes, because it's still not able to knock out that Ursaluna.
Right. So we'll take the knockout on this Squawkabilly EX, and then Ryan has an opportunity to still win in the next turn or so. It's all going to come down to what Trevor finds here.
Ooh,
Does he find an owl?
he's got an energy that could draw him to an out.
We can.
And there's a Ogre Pawn as well, so that could be put on the bench as well.
That is true. So let's see the draw here. We have an
Ultra Ball
Ultra
Irida.
Ball. And you know what? Ultra Ball is all we need. Because all we need is a Noctowl and then a way to get some. Oh, yeah, just a boss.
Yeah.
Just boss is good. So we see the Noctowl, we see the boss's orders, and we
Nice.
see game for Ryan. And man, that was a tight game, man.
Yeah. So what do you think of the deck then? What do you think of Palkia? Because I know you were a Palkia guy.
I like it. I
Yeah.
think it's really good. My question is it as good as big basic decks that are trying to do the same thing?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I kind of like it. I mean, I wasn't around playing Pokemon when the Palkia meta happened, so I'm not really as familiar with the lines, but I can kind of see it being able to hang.
Yeah.
My concern is obviously Miraidon, but like, I
think
feel like there's ways around it.
I think the weakness I think can be overplayed at times
Yeah.
just because you're still one-shotting.
Yeah.
It's just, are you one-shotting more efficiently or not? And
Yeah.
I will say in that case, Brydon is more efficient since you only need one energy from a generator to a Raikou to just
Yeah.
obliterate a Palkia, but that's a matchup that's probably worth testing.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're going to jump over to our second game, and we have something very interesting here for you guys.
We got 3 water bottles in the cameras.
Well, we do have 3 water bottles in the cameras. Guys are crushing it.
Yes.
Just crushing it. But we do also have Chien Pao Baxcalibur, thank you so much, Bryce, versus Blood Moon Ursaluna Valiant, Iron Valiant EX. And what?
Yeah.
Brian, what is happening here?
I don't know what's happening. I don't really.
Fair
I
enough.
don't.
Would you like me to tell you what's happening?
At least from the Blood Moon side, because
Yes.
all I know is what the Valiant does. I don't know what that Ursaluna does.
All right, fair enough. So, Brian, why don't you talk through Chien Pao while Chistan is playing this? hand?
Definitely. So Chen Pao, crowd favorite. A lot of players like Chen Pao. A lot of players from around here like Chen Pao.
Jared Grimes.
Jared Grimes, big Chen Pao guy. Grant
Yes.
Chen, big Chen Pao guy.
Yep.
So a lot of Chen Pao enjoyers out there, and this is a very interesting version of Chen Pao because it played
It is.
Rotom with Forest Sealstone.
We also see the capturing aroma, which is very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, so just extra search.
I mean, I guess. And yeah,
Yeah.
so like you said, Chi and Pao, yeah. Oh,
Oh,
it's
there's
with the Dunsparce.
Dunsparce.
All right. All right, so we see Roxanne, Ethan with Ursaluna Valiant will shuffle his hand into his deck and draw 2 cards. Jisan will shuffle their hand in and draw 6. So getting put in a good position. Unfortunately, I believe all those water went onto the Chi and Pao.
I would assume so.
That is my assumption as well. So tell us a little bit more about what Chi and Pao does and why Jisan may be wanting to play it now.
Yeah, just because it's pretty easy to get going. You know, you as long as you have the rare candy Baxcalibur, you're able to attach as many water to any of your Pokemon. It's not limited to type, which is really nice. You know, energies onto the water energies onto the Pokemon, and you put it onto the Chen Pao, and you hit 60 for each discarded energy.
Yep, which is a ton of energy.
Yes.
So definitely a good thing to see. For Ethan, this Blood Moon Ursaluna Iron Valiant deck is fascinating because what it does is it says Blood Moon Ursaluna has an ability where when you play it from your hand onto the board, you may attach 2 fighting energy from your hand to this Pokemon. Its attack for fighting colorless does, I believe, is either 130 or 150, plus 20 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon.
Oh, wow.
So, what we have here is Ethan ready and able to take a one-shot on this Chi and Pao if he sequences this correctly, and that is indeed a Lana's Vitality in his hand. Because what Lana's Vitality does is allow you to pick up any combination of non-rule box Pokemon and energy cards, up to 3, into your hand from your discard pile. So what we could see from Ethan is move an Iron Valiant into the active, place 2 damage on Chi and Pao, switch cart the Iron Valiant into the other one, put 2 on Chi and Pao, and then use that jet energy on the Blood Moon Ursaluna to then gust it up or move it into the active and do a whole lot of damage to that Chi and Pao. And so we do see the ability, we see the attachment, and we see the jet energy. What a Roxanne to close out the game for Ethan.
Roxanne's a lie.
Roxanne is always a lie. Wow. All right, well, that was not what I was expecting to end this round on,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
holy, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So do you think that this deck is something that could compete at like a regional level?
I don't think so.
All right, that's fair.
But
I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, but I think it's got a lot of cool lines.
It does.
Yes.
It's being able to attack
yeah.
with a single prize or tagger is awesome, but you got like 4 Iron Valiant on the bench.
Yeah, those are all liabilities.
Yes.
That just sounds like something that a Lugia V-Star can Tempest dive.
Yes, it
224.
is. Yes, it is. All right, well, I need a break after that little ending there. So we're going to give you guys a quick 2 minutes since that was time in the round, and then we'll be back right after this with our last round and then a little more information about our cup coming up next week where, man, like I said, it's $1,000.
Yep, and there's a challenge too.
And there is a challenge. This is too. We'll talk about that too,
Yes.
but we'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back, everyone, to the last round of tonight's Nerd Rage Locals. Well, we gave you Blood Moon Ursaluna once, and it was a cool enough finish where, with Ethan being 3-0, I mean, we can't not put him back on
Yeah,
here.
exactly. And helps me to learn what the deck actually does.
Yes, it does. And we are doing it against Rafal, who is playing Palkia with Greninja EX, and this
Yeah.
is going to be an interesting one to see.
Yeah, definitely. And um, get the elephant out of the room here. 34th place at Baltimore Regionals. No easy feat.
It is not.
I know a lot of people have been talking about how him and JW bubbled out of top 32.
Which they should, because it's atrocious, if I'm
but-
being honest.
But still, hard to get that far, so they should still be proud of their achievements.
I would agree
Yes.
completely. Just an incredible run. Rafal going 10-1 to start before two unfortunate rounds against Lugia both
Yeah.
times.
With his deck at home.
Yes, leaving the deck at home. So
Yeah.
we'll, as Rafal's setting up here, because it looks like it's not a
Yeah.
great setup, we actually are doing something new here at Nerd Rage. We are actually creating a little bit of content, and we'll be having something coming out to you guys in the next couple of days featuring Rafal and his heck of a good run at Baltimore.
Definitely.
All right, and so going to Ethan's turn, Brian, would you like to talk through what his game plan is, or would you like me to do that?
Yeah, I think you're probably a little more comfortable
All
with
right,
it
fair
than I
enough.
am.
I'm not, but I
Yeah.
didn't pretend. So what Ethan is trying to do is it's a very highly aggressive deck. As you saw at the end of the last game, he's trying to get that Blood Moon Ursaluna down, 2 energy attached to the ability, 1 energy attached manually, using Iron Valiant to sprinkle some damage counters and try to take one shot after one shot on high HP 2 prizers.
Is he able to donk here?
He certainly is, because Pheasantipity is weak to fighting.
Oh boy.
So we don't need an Iron Valiant or anything. All we need is just to have an attack with Blood Moon Ursaluna. So it's possibly important that I let the viewers know, on our secondary stream, we actually have Raging Bolt versus Charizard. So we have another good backup matchup for you, should we go that route.
Yes.
All right, so we see Rod, Ultra Ball, we see fighting. Do we see another? Yeah.
Is this gonna happen?
I think it may be happening.
Yeah.
Well,
At least we
it's
get
a
the
good run.
Yeah.
Well, okay, maybe it's happening. I think Ethan is trying to figure out how to best sequence this. I guess
Yeah.
Brian.
Because wouldn't he need to have 2 fightings in the discard?
He needs 2 fighting in hand.
Oh, in hand. Okay.
Yes. So we are going to be able to get the Blood Moon Ursaluna here. We're going to be able to Earthen Vessel for 2 fighting. But what Ethan is going to need is a switching out.
Oh, so he probably shouldn't have discarded the switch card then.
Did he discard the switch card?
He did discard the switch card.
Well,
I thought he had a switch card in hand.
I thought he did too. You know, that's all right.
Wait, so if he kept the fighting in hand, he would have had a third one.
Correct.
Oh, so that would have been the donk.
Correct.
Oh boy.
Things aren't going well here,
Yeah.
guys. Regardless, this maybe gives us an opportunity for Rafal to kind of show off his deck a little bit.
Yeah.
And Ethan does still have the chance to dig with Squawkabilly EX and Mew EX for either a switch card energy, jet energy, something along those lines.
Yeah.
So as much as I am excited for Ethan to draw well, I am rooting for Team Rafal. He's on the team,
Yes.
and I would like to get him to be able to play a turn. All right, so we see the Ursaluna go down. We see...
That's
Oh my
Oh.
goodness. Oh, Lord Almighty. And Rafal
oh boy.
is utterly cooked. And we indeed see the retreat. We don't even need to switch cart. Sure, we'll switch cart, ping, and then we'll retreat.
Wait, what?
Ping.
Wait, what?
I'm not sure what we're seeing. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. And we see that. All right, fair enough. So that was unfortunate.
Yes.
Bryce, you want to let them know if they want to set up for a second game, they can, and then we'll just go to our second game here. So, that was a good hand.
Yeah.
It was a good hand going second, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
So, Brian, is there anything you saw Rafal could have done differently, or just like
I don't know.
that's how it be?
I think it's just like an unlucky start.
It's just how it
Yeah,
goes sometimes.
like people always talk about how there's no such thing as being unlucky in the game and that you just got to play to your outs. But I think there's some certain situations where
Listen,
you're just flat out unlucky.
I don't care how many outs you play to. If you're
Yeah.
Maridon and you draw 8 energy,
Yeah.
like that just is how it works.
Yep.
So we are going to bounce over to our second game while they're playing because we do want to show you what could be a tier S matchup in Charizard versus Raging Bolt Ogerpon. So we have Abby playing Raging Bolt Ogerpon versus Eli playing, as he put it, Charizard. So Charizard is one of the better decks now, and it may be the best deck in format next
Yeah,
format.
and this matchup in particular used to be favored heavily towards Charizard,
Yes.
but now Raging Bolt definitely has some legs to go through and take out the matchup.
So
And
what's
that
the difference maker, do you think?
Briar.
Ah,
So Briar is really cool because it allows Raging Bolt to take more more prizes during the turn. And the way that it'll do that often is with the active Charizard EX, they'll try to use Tealmass Ogerpon as an attacker, play Briar, and the Terra Pokemon would be able to take the extra prize.
yeah.
Will lead to an extra prize, and that leads to a 3-prize turn.
Which is a huge deal because now
Yeah,
taking a single prize knockout early, which is how Charizard tried to win the game,
yeah,
is not catastrophic for Raging Bolts anymore. In fact, it keeps them on schedule.
yeah. And Abby off to a great start here, able to take out the Pheasantipity with the 3 energies discarded off of the Raging Bolt.
Absolutely. And that's a
Yeah,
huge deal because now, number one, Eli doesn't have the out. Number two, Abby got to take a 2-prize knockout turn 1.
yeah,
And now Eli is under such an intense clock because he's got to reach to knock out this Raging Bolt and got to be ready to respond if his Charizard goes down, which it absolutely could with a second Raging Bolt on the field.
yeah. And I think one of the good things here is that Eli is able to even out the prize trade now that 2 prizes have been taken. So he'll be able to cleanly take out the Raging Bolt, which has 240 HP, and the Charizard EX will be doing 240 damage as well. So
Yes, he's not
yeah,
reliant on using a Dusknoir or anything like that to fix the damage.
yep,
The downside is with getting that Forest Seal Stone, if Eli is going to use it, he's going to have to bench another 2-prizer.
yeah, definitely.
So Abby from here can literally just go knockout, knockout to win this game pretty handily.
Yeah, and Eli actually getting rid of the Briar here.
Yeah.
Probably not thinking of it as much of a win condition in this matchup, just because he is planning on just doing a 2-2-2 prize plan.
Well, so here's something interesting for Eli. His hand at this point is Rare Candy for a Seal Stone.
Yeah,
And that'll get him the knockout.
yeah, that'll get him the knockout.
But if Abby is able to reach in a response KO, like she just wins.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if she's able to take out the Pidgeot, I don't even know what Eli can really do.
I mean, that's a fair point
Yeah,
too. If she can just get that 4 energy down,
yeah,
gust up the
Gust
Pidgeot, knock it out.
Yeah,
Oof. All right, so even with a maybe not ideal start for Abby, she's able to apply enough pressure, and Eli doesn't really have a great response. This could be really interesting.
yeah, and it's not like her board state's really all that bad. I mean, you have an extra attacker in the Raging Bolt in the bench, and then the Ogre can hopefully snowball you into furthering your board state with more Ogre.
For sure. And Abby does have another Ogerpon in hand, so she will be able to draw more if she sees some more grass energy.
Yep.
So we'll see what she goes with.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so we do lead the Bolt. We do have, I think, what looked like an energy retrieval. Oh, we have an energy
perfect.
retrieval.
Yeah, and another Ogre in the hand as well, so she's definitely got a lot of options here on what to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to heavy ball to start, which if she can find a Radiant Greninja, we are cruising.
Business.
Yes. So we'll see what she finds off the prizes.
Yep.
I assume she is playing the heavy ball here.
Yes, I think so.
Are we playing the heavy ball? Maybe not.
All good.
Oh, it was already in the discard.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so we are just getting the 2 energy back. We will be able to draw at least one with Teal Dance, and then getting another energy to draw if you find a ninja or attached to the Raging Bolt in the active is fine. Because at this point, she really just needs to get a couple energy on the board. So we see her go for the lightning energy. And Brian, what does she want to see off this Teal Dance?
Teal Dance, definitely another grass energy would be nice. Sada would probably be optimal. But there's a lot of things that that the deck will probably want to see. So should be interesting to see here. Oh, grass is nice.
Grass is actually perfect because
Yeah.
unless she has another bolt, it could be tough to pull
Yeah.
off a knockout here. All right, so we do see the Teal
Yep,
Dance.
another Teal Dance, another energy.
All right, so now things get a little tough because she does not have a way to draw any more cards.
Yeah.
That Charizard can knock out this active Raging Bolt, and there's not a way to Sada right now.
Yeah.
So that's really tough. Do you think it would have behooved her to use the Palpad first when trying to draw, or was it better to hold that until later?
I think it depends how many Sadas are already in the discard. If there were at least maybe one or two, I can see there being a case for it. But otherwise, I feel like if just like naturally drawing into it is probably the way that you go about it.
I would tend to agree. And we do
Yeah.
see the attachment to the active.
And do you think the Burst Roar is gonna be coming out here?
I think so. I mean, I would want to see the Palpad played, or would you see the
Oh,
pass? That is unfortunate. And we're going to see the Nest Ball, likely Eli setting up either Radiant Charizard or another Charizard EX.
Yep, I think we see the Radzard here.
And I think going to the Radzard is correct.
Yeah, Radzard's good just because I mean you can power it up pretty easily,
Yes.
and yeah, you know, at that point where it's just gonna need how many more energies? Just like one more?
Well,
Two
if
more?
Abby takes a knockout at any point,
Yeah.
it would need no more.
Oh yeah,
Just
no
one
more.
would be
Yeah.
plenty. But so we will see likely then the knockout on this Raging Bolt EX with
Yeah.
Charizard EX. Oh, we actually see
Ooh,
a
the
boss.
boss. Okay.
So why do you think that's the move here?
Yeah, I think Eli's trying to limit the amount of cards that Abby can see here.
Fair, just to kind
Yeah.
of lock her out of the game at
Yeah,
this point.
sort of lock that out, and then as well as taking away one way that could knock out the Charizard pretty easily.
And that makes sense. And
Yeah.
Abby here has to go into the Raging Bolt, and then she's going to need to find a health modifier if she's going to be able to tank
Yeah.
after this
Oh, and the grass
attack.
is perfect here. I mean, you can start drawing with that.
Grass is a huge deal. The tough part is, though, if Eli retains Pidgey, he's going to be able to get a Gust out of the deck.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I think we are going to have to see the Teal Dance here to start.
Yeah, the Teal Dance will get to a clean 280.
Yes.
Oh, another Ogerpon is good.
Which is good. We can use that energy retrieval to get some more energy out of the discard. And then Abby's going to have to manually attach to the active and still just hope she finds a damage modifier
Yeah.
here. Or health modifier, excuse me. Yep, we'll take just the grass, it seems. Which to me seems like the right choice.
Yeah,
You
I
have
think
energy
so.
available for Sada.
Yeah.
Oh, we will take both.
Yeah, which I mean, not the worst thing in the world. Obviously, if you'd like to keep the fighting in there, just so if you were to get Sada, it could help accelerate a little bit better. But there's also a play here where you can just go for if you had the health modifier, if you boss up the
The Pidgeot.
yeah, that could have been an option.
Unfortunately, not because
Yeah, oh,
Eli would
yeah.
be doing 300 with Charizard EX.
Very true, very true.
But Abby does have it out here to go get the Radiant Greninja to draw with that and try to get her into something that could be useful.
Yeah,
Which really at this point, useful is going to be the wow, why are words so hard today? Useful would
Yeah.
be a Sada to try to
Yeah.
set up a further board and then dig further for that damage modifier.
yeah.
And I think Abby is currently doing the math and saying that I am cooked regardless of
Yes,
what
either
happens
way.
here. So we'll see if she has a good line. We do see the Nest Ball. We can also get Pheasantipity here.
Oh yeah, Fez would be super good here as well.
We actually go for the
Yeah.
Raging Bolts. Why do you think that is?
It's always just good to have an extra attacker. We definitely would have liked to see an extra like draw or you know, support Pokemon, but yeah, that definitely would have been the more optimal play, but I don't see it being, at least at this point of the game, as big of a difference maker.
No, and I think
Yeah.
that's reasonable. And
Yeah.
honestly, like you said, you need to attack through your primary attackers, so
Yeah.
having those available is good.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what Abby decides to go with. I think we will go with the 4-5 energy knockout
Yep.
on the Charizard EX. So Abby does go down to 2 prizes remaining.
Yep.
Gets that knockout on the big guy. Unfortunately for Abby, Eli's just going to be able to go into Charizard, knock out that Raging Bolt, take the last 2 prizes, and close out the game.
Yep.
We are still seeing the search. Not sure why, Eli,
Yep.
but we'll see. Oh, and it looks like Eli plays the maximum belt. So we were
Max Belt.
we were going to
What?
be cooked no matter what.
Yeah.
And we see the knockout 4 games. So
Yep.
Fez would have been good there. Eli able to take it down with Charizard. And so we'll jump over to our last game, which is kind of our first game,
But
and
part 2.
part 2.
But-
we see an actual board here.
Yeah.
So Brian, walk us through the board. What is
Yeah.
happening?
All right, so there's a Greninja EX on the board.
That there is.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, I mean the Palkia is able to get set up, which is really nice. And I think once Palkia is able to get set up, Raph's actually able to set up like a pretty, nice and clean prize line here.
He is. And
Yeah.
that Palkia just got one shot,
Yeah.
which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And we do have the Greninja EX coming to the active. So Greninja EX, 310 HP, Stage 2 EX, Fighting type, first attack, what is it called?
I think Shinobi Blade.
Shinobi Blade. For 1 water energy, does 170 damage, and you get to search your deck for 1 card and put it into your hand.
Any card.
Any card.
Yeah, which is actually pretty cool.
Is wild. And the second attack is Water Double Colorless, snipe 120 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. Just a wildly strong attack. And so what I imagine Rafal could do here.
Oh, he's gonna probably go for a Dusknoir play and then counter catcher to clean up the knockout.
Exactly. So we
Yeah.
can counter catcher up the Iron Valiant or the Squawkabilly, Dusknoir it, or excuse me, Dusknoir one of the bench guys, counter catcher up the Fez, and then use Greninja Snipe in order to one-shot the Fez that's weak to fighting.
Yep.
And then knock out whatever the other attacker is on the bench.
That's a crazy line.
It is a line it seems like he set up over a couple turns, which
Yeah.
is sick.
Let's just see if he makes that decision here.
So we are going to put the damage
Okay.
on the Pheasantipity, which seems right. Or excuse me, on the Squawk, which
Yep.
seems right. Thank you, Bryce, for shaking your head at Dan. What are you doing?
Yes.
And then does he have the Gust in hand? He does have the counter catcher. So Rafal, if he sees it, is going to be able to combo and just close out this game.
Perfect.
Yes,
There
there
we
we go. And so we see the Fez, and then we will see the Snipe knockout for knock on the active,
Yep.
knock on the bench, 4 prize turn to close out the game. Well, we saw some quick games here.
Yeah, definitely.
So what do you think of that deck that Rafal had, knowing we just saw it purely set up there on that last turn?
I still feel like pure Palkia is probably the way to go, but I really like that Greninja EX a lot.
So I actually hit
Yeah.
that once in Baltimore with
Greninja
the
EX?
Greninja EX Palkia with Dusknoir, and
Oh, wow.
Griffin Roll actually had that, and he was in asymmetrical top cut with
Yeah.
Palkia, Greninja EX, Dusknoir,
Oh, yeah.
which is a really fascinating build. You
Yeah.
can, use Palkia's V-Star ability to accelerate to Froakie
Mhm.
before you evolve it up to Greninja
Yeah.
EX, so you're able to snipe immediately. Plus, you can set up your other attackers. Dusknoir fixes math. What's up? They're playing a third game. We're seeing game 3. Bryce, you good with that?
Yeah.
All right. That sounds
All
wonderful. Thank you, Eli. All right. So we're going to see a game 3. And honestly, this is what we would see in a regional setting.
Yeah.
So it's good to be able to actually see what you do, how you come back, and then how you choose to respond once you know more about your opponent's list.
Yeah, I mean, it can affect a lot of things here, right? Like, it can affect if you go first or second. It can affect, like the lines that you take, which Pokemon you start. So there's a lot of things that change when you decide to do a best of 3.
So that was actually going to be my question for you, Brian.
Yeah.
You're Ethan. You lost that game. Do you go first or second?
I feel like you go second here.
I also feel like you go second
Yeah.
here. And second is a bold move, though, if Roth does set up. But, man, if you're able to get that donk again, you are
Yeah.
cruising. Ooh, but Ethan
Ooh.
does have a mulligan. And Rafal does decide to not start the Blood Moon Ursaluna,
Which is
an
perfect.
excellent
A
decision.
very excellent decision because it is weak to fighting.
Yes. So while they're set up, I'll tell you, when I played against this deck, game 1, my opponent did start Blood Moon Ursaluna. And they played only Switch and Prime Catcher as outs to switch it out.
Oh, wow.
I started Great Tusk. Brian, can you guess how many times I attacked to do damage that game?
Maybe one.
None.
None.
I at no point took a knockout because when they were stuck and they couldn't move it, they churned through their whole deck.
Yeah.
So all I did was just use Land Collapse 2 or 3 times to mill them out and close out the game, because why would I try to take 6 prizes when there's that other win condition like right in front of me?
Yeah.
And you're right, Ethan did decide to go second. So we'll see if Rafal can set up his board at all. Oh,
I think he will
boy.
be able to. Yeah.
Those 2 mulligans were Palkia v Squawk.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
That's a really good start.
Yeah. And so this, excuse me, Wellspring Mask Ogerpon in the active, 210 HP, can actually, it needs 2 pings from Iron Valiant before it's going to be able to get knocked out. So it's not a bad thing to sit up there and take a hit.
Yeah, and also another way that people have been using the Wellspring Ogerpon is actually for the Sob attack, which is
Yes.
kind of like a Mawile in a way, where it doesn't allow you to retreat.
And I would say I don't think it's really advisable to try to build in a bunch of different win conditions into a deck,
Yeah.
especially at the risk of consistency. But if you have those options available to you, like, man, take advantage of them.
Yeah,
Look
it's
at
like an
what are
added
alive.
bonus. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so we do see the Squawk from her fall, and I don't actually mind that. Squawk is going to get one shot as easily as any other 2-prizer on Rafal's board, so just getting this set up seems really good.
Yeah, and I mean, being able to put that liability onto the board, but you get Greninja out of it, I think that's a worthy trade.
Agreed, and he's
Yeah.
actually going to be able to get a
Oh, he's able to get
Greninja
Rare
EX.
Candy Greninja.
That's really good.
Yeah.
All right, so now for Ethan, that's a less good hand.
Yeah.
You can see Ethan's response of, oh God, what do I do here? So can he even whittle that down to 3 cards?
I don't think so because you need to like. I don't even think you'd want to use the switch.
Oh, we just see a good old-fashioned pass. That is tough. And Rafal has an Iono.
Yep.
Not a lot of inclination to play it.
No.
I don't know what else he has, honestly. So we will see the... Yeah, and
the
we'll see
Iono.
the Iono. Brian, do you agree with that?
No, but but that's the only reason why I agree. Like I don't think we should is because we can see both hands. But
Very true.
yeah.
All right, and so I think what Rafal is hoping for here
Oh,
is we got the
Palkia V-Star.
switch. Actually, that's a huge deal.
There's a switch and there's a Palkia V-Star in hand.
That is, to be honest, not all that better of a hand for
Yeah.
Ethan here. We'll see the Pokestop.
Pokestop. And I'm wondering if Roth is playing Area Zero in this deck.
I would
assume
assume
so.
not. Really? Why do you think
Yeah,
so?
Just because I mean, if you're playing like stuff like the Wellspring, like, and if you're playing around Palkia as like an attacker, I feel like you need the Area Zero just so you can attack like super tall.
So that's really interesting. And are we gonna see the knock? I think we are gonna see the knockout here with Radiant Greninja.
Yeah.
Or with Greninja EX, and I kind of love that.
Yeah, because he's able to get he'll be able to search out a card afterwards too, and it takes a clean 2-prize knockout.
So that is a Rotom, and actually with that, I don't think there's an Area Zero in here.
Yeah.
Because this does not look like a deck that's trying to, excuse my word, flood the board
Yeah.
with basics. It looks like you have a specific strategy you're setting up with Greninja EX and Palkia.
Yeah.
And so we're going to see the knockout with that Shinobi Blade, knocking out the Iron Valiant. Rafal gets 2 prizes. He does search for the card first before taking any prizes. And Ethan's going to have to try to piece together a big knockout here real quick.
Yeah, so what do you think the optimal thing to search out here would be?
So I think he needs to be able to play the game. So you're going to have to thin out your hand. You're going to have to get down a couple Valiant. I think you're going to have to draw with Mew here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with all those Ultra Balls in hand, you definitely have a way to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we are going to see the Earthen Vessel. We'll certainly be able to attack with a Blood Moon Ursaluna here. I just don't know if we're going to be able to do enough damage.
Yeah, I don't think the damage would be enough.
And if you don't do enough damage, like you got to be in a world of pain here, right?
Yeah.
And so we do see the Blood Moon Ursaluna come down with the energy. Love it, love it. We can see Nest Ball. We can see an Ultra Ball.
Oh,
That's
man.
fantastic. Okay, so we see one search for a Pokemon.
And then a Pokemon to the bench.
Yes, Pokemon to the bench. And then is there another draw Pokemon? Like, is there Radiant Greninja in here? That would
or even Pheasantipity would be a decent.
Pheasantipity is here. We played the Nest Ball and the Ultra Ball.
Ultra Ball, yeah.
Got it. Okay, so there is a world where Ethan's able to do something here.
Yeah, definitely.
So we would see the retreat into the Iron Valiant, and then we would need a switch into the Ursaluna, but Still not taking a knockout.
Yeah, and I feel like even if he's not able to take that knockout, I mean, he could if he draws into like a gust.
Yes, this is
Yeah,
very true. If there is a way to gust either the Wellspring Mask or the Squawkabilly, then yeah, we could be okay here.
yeah,
We see a switch and we see a research. That is a big, big deal here. So I'd love to see the switch into. No, I don't. No, not
no.
that. Well, all right,
All
that's fine.
right.
I'd love to see the switch into the Iron Valiant, and then I would love to see the research just to see if you can find another switching card.
Yeah, because at least you can get like some pings out of there.
Yes. So is there ever a world where you retreat and then switch?
If you think you can draw into another switch, right? Because wouldn't you retreat into Valiant, ping,
Yep.
switch into the other Valiant, ping,
Yep.
research, and then hopefully switch into the
And hopefully find a switch card off of
Yeah.
and Pokestop.
yeah.
All right, so Ethan is messaging his homies. Bryce, can you please nicely yell at them to do that after the game?
Oh wait, I think they're done with it. Okay.
All right, perfect. Well, we will nicely ask them to do that after the game, but it's fine. We're all here playing the locals. We're having
Yeah,
fun.
we're here for a good time.
All right, so we will hopefully see the switch into Valiant and then the research or retreat switch research. But we'll see. Maybe we just rip the research and that's all. All right, thinking it through here. We are seeing the switch.
Ping.
Ping. At this point, you probably have to ping the active.
Yeah.
That just doesn't feel great. But we do see the research.
Ooh, and also, was it no retreat into ping?
It was not. It was just a
Yeah.
switch. So
Okay.
to be fair,
I
we
mean,
got some good stuff
Yeah,
here.
never punished.
No. So we'll be able to go get another Valiant. I think we actually have. Holy crap! Do we have the knockout here? I think we may have the
Yeah.
knockout here. Because Blood Moon Ursaluna, I believe, does 150. Wow. Hold up. I am fascinated by this. Blood Moon Ursaluna. Because if we have 60 damage on there, and we have Blood Moons does 30 more, holy, we have a one-shot
Oh wow.
on this Greninja EX with this Blood Moon Ursaluna. I did not see that coming,
Yeah, I
Brian.
did not see that coming either.
That's,
I didn't think there was the potential
wait,
for
we
it.
have a one-shot right now. We don't even need to get the sixth one. Because it is plus 30. With 4 on there, we wouldn't have it. We need the third one. And we have a one-shot from Blood Moon Ursaluna on the Stage 2 Greninja EX. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the kind of content we hope for.
Yeah. I mean, these are the lines that we haven't even seen.
Yeah. I will fully admit I did not account for that as an
Yeah.
option this turn.
I didn't either. I thought he was gonna use the bundle to get like a 2-prizer like off the bench.
Right, exactly. So we see Roth go into the Palkia, and we're likely going to see a 2-prize knockout for a fall, but man, this is no longer looking like a sure thing for him.
Yeah, definitely.
And we have Fezandipity available. There is a risk in dropping it that Ethan does not need any pings to knock it out.
Yeah.
Wow. This is fascinating. What does Rafal do here?
Oh man, I don't even know. I mean, probably like Star Portal. And he's got Prime Catcher in hand. He could take a 2-prizer off the bench.
I think the question really is, do you try to go into Wellspring Dusknoir or Greninja Dusknoir, or do you just try to take 2 prizes and 2 knockouts with Palkia?
Yeah, I think you just take the first 2 with Palkia, and then you could try to set up the Ogerpon later.
So Rafal's
Yeah.
probably wishing he could attach these to the Fezandipity right now
Oh
because
yeah.
he could one-shot the Mew EX.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so we do see the attachments go down to the Wellspring. Oh, this is fascinating. So what is Rafal's plan, do you think?
I think he's got a gust here.
I think he does as well.
Yeah, I like that.
I do too.
Yeah, I mean, limit the draw power.
And so we go into the Wellspring Retreat, and then we do see
Ooh,
the
Iono,
Iono, and
very
that's
nice.
a big deal.
That is a big deal.
So Ethan does keep the Blood Moon Ursaluna alive, which is good. But that's going to be a pretty small hand for him to work with. And Squawk is not a very helpful card out of that hand.
Yep, never.
All right, so then what did Rafal get off of his Iono?
Can see a Night Stretcher. I think there's Iono.
We're going to see the Pokestop. Nope. Nope.
Oh,
Nope. All right, well,
mill three.
that's fine. Just thin 3 out of the deck.
All right. Oh, I think that's a counter catcher as well.
Yes. But at this point, like, Rafal can just take the knockout
Yeah.
without much concern. And Rafal goes down to 2 prizes. Ethan is at 3, and Rafal's no longer in as horrible a position as he could have been.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, with all those 2 prizers that are in play, using Blood Moon Ursaluna EX is also a very easy way to clean up the end of the game.
That is very true. He does have the pivot set up with the Water Veil Ogerpon, or is it Water
Wellspring.
Veil? Wellspring. Good lord. And Ethan now, his hand is kind of not great. So we see the manual attachment. We'll likely see failing both of these nest balls. Unless there's another card he wants to get out, but kind of imagine you fail bench Squawk, right?
Yeah. And then draw 3.
Because you've got to see a few switching cards here.
Yeah.
Bundle isn't bad.
Yeah, that's not too bad. But I mean, Bundle kind of doesn't feel great because you can kind of just put up the 1 prizer.
I would tend to agree.
Yeah.
All right, and he's saying I'm just failing the first nest ball, using the second nest ball to get the bundle. Shuffling up, keeping the Squawk in hand. How do you feel about that?
I would have liked the Squawk to go down, kind of like that line that we were talking about earlier, just because you can maximize the restart ability. But, I mean, ooh.
Wow,
Research.
I mean, yeah, that's not too bad.
that's
All
not
right,
too
just
bad.
hits the research. So there's still an out where Ethan takes a knockout on
Yeah.
the active this turn. And to be honest, taking a single prize knockout is not terrible either if Rafal enables it, because you still can just win the game next attack.
Yeah, and Counter Catcher would still be active too.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's like there's still Gust available. That's not in the form of a supporter or Iron Bundle.
And actually, I think Ethan would almost love Rafal to give up a single prizer here.
Yeah.
So that he can go in and not have to use all these switching outs. And Rafal, as weird as it is,
I think Rafal gives a 2 prizer
I
up.
think Rafal gives a 2 prizer.
Yeah, because give the Squawk. Come on.
Yes, give the Squawk.
Give the Squawk.
It's either the Squawk or the Wellspring you want to give up.
Yeah, I think you do give the Squawk here.
Wellspring is great. And actually, I love Wellspring
Yeah.
because it forces Ethan to use switching outs to place damage
Oh,
counters.
okay. I can get behind that.
So with 2 damage counter placements, Ethan would be doing 200. So he needs actually 2 Valiants in order to take a knockout here. And that makes it a lot harder for him.
Yeah, I think it's definitely doable. I mean, there is a booster capsule in hand.
There is. And so we do retreat. Ethan is calculating. Ethan is in trouble because
Yes.
we do not have 2 switching outs. And so instead, we're just going to hit into this Water Veil. And actually, I love this decision by Ethan.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it makes it a little bit more difficult for Roth. He pretty much needs to have like a boss in order to win the game at this turn.
Exactly. And Roth can't use Pheasantipity.
Yep.
There's no other way to dig in his deck outside of just whatever search he has in hand. So yeah, this is actually a really good decision to say, I can still clean up the game next turn. And Roth does not have that Gust in hand available yet.
No. I mean, he could always go like Night Stretcher into Greninja.
Which looks like it's going to be the route.
Yeah. Would have you liked that play better, or would you have liked just do it where the deck is not shuffled yet? Or do you like the Earthen Vessel play?
I actually like the Earthen Vessel because I don't
Yeah.
think you want to use your Night Stretcher for energy guaranteed right now, since you could use that Dusknoir if you need to. And did we hit a Gauss? We do hit a Rare Candy. But yeah, we don't actually hit a lot here that Rafal would like to use. Interesting. So we do see Rafal go up here. And actually, the weirdest thing, I actually would have liked to see a pass. I don't know about you, Brian, but I think a pass right there would have forced Ethan to have to do some very uncomfortable things
Yeah,
with that hand,
definitely.
knowing that he would need to either switch or retreat out of that Blood Moon Ursaluna in order to take a knockout.
Hmm.
And then that retreat would have had to get him back into somehow another Blood Moon.
Yeah.
So instead, though, we are going to be able to free retreat into a Iron Valiant, use that ability to knock out the Wellspring, and then see if there's another route here. So we have, oh my goodness, do we have it?
What, the knockout again?
We may.
Yeah.
We may have it. We at least have access to a Blood Moon Ursaluna, and we have access to a switching out. The thing we don't have is access to a benched Pokemon. So if Ethan has another countercatcher available in deck, this game is still his to take.
Yeah, definitely.
So Brian, what's the route? How does he pull that off?
I mean, the Night Stretcher and the Energy Retrieval get him his attacker,
Yep.
and then the Jet Energy helps to accelerate. Well, so there's been a few times where he hasn't retreated into Iron Valiant, which can take away
Right.
the effectiveness of the pings, right? So did he research first?
I think we're playing the nest ball.
Okay.
We're shenanigans are happening,
Yeah.
guys.
Okay.
This is not a, oh, and we have the prime catcher. I think we have the game.
Oh, because
We have the
Yeah.
game. If there is an attachment for Ethan left in deck, no, he's energy retrieval. Ladies and gentlemen, Ethan wins if he sees the line. But will he see the line? Brian, do you see the line?
I see the line.
What is the line, Brian?
We need to retreat into Valiant,
Correct.
and we need to ping the Ogre Pond.
Correct.
We need to prime catcher into another one.
Correct.
Ping the Ogre Pond.
Correct.
And then we would prime catcher up the Pheasantipity.
Correct.
Hit the Ursaluna for weakness.
Yes.
Yes. All right,
Exactly.
cool. I see the line.
Yes. There is a
There
line.
is a
So
line.
the only thing I'm missing is we actually need two swings on the we need two Valiants on the Ogre Pond, but I think it's doable.
Yeah.
And we'll see a Fez for more. Ron, and we see a switch. There it is.
Yeah.
He's got it.
Yeah, he's got it.
Now it's just if he sees it.
If he sees the line.
So we need to retreat, switch.
I kind of want to play
switch.
this deck now.
It's, I mean, I'm kind of surprised how
Yeah.
well this is working.
Yeah.
And we've got the energy retrieval for energy.
Okay.
We see the switch. Yep, just thinking through. We need two pings on the Wellspring.
Wait, why are we putting it
No,
on that?
no, don't
No.
do that. Don't do that.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing here? Does anyone know what we're doing? If you're in the chat and you know what we're doing, what are we doing?
Is he
Are we?
what?
There's no possible way that's correct, and yet it may still be enough to win the game. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't care if that wasn't the line. That was incredible.
He doesn't see the line.
It was fantastic, and it was still glorious, and I'm here for it. So we see the Night Stretcher. We see the Blood Moon Ursaluna come down. That is still the knockout, but we had a line where if we saw it, Blood Moon Ursaluna, an
Would've cleaned
unknown
up.
deck in the format, would have beaten Palkia Dusknoir in a best 2 out of 3.
Yeah,
Let alone a best 1 out of 3 because it won game 1.
I know.
That is bonkers, and I am curious if Rafal saw the win. So, Brian, give us a recap on the day because we at least got to end with some exciting finishes
Yeah,
here.
we had some funny games today. Let's see. Round 1, we got to see Banette and Dragapult, which was super cool.
Very
We
interesting.
got to see the new Dragapult in action. What was round 2? Round 2, we got to see.
All very memorable rounds, as
Yeah,
we can tell. But we did get
very.
to see Whiskash,
Oh
unfortunately,
yeah,
not work
Whiscash.
as
Yeah,
well as hoped.
not work.
We actually missed out on seeing Mousehold.
Yeah, Mousehold EX. There was some Mousehold that was in there.
There was a 1-1 Mousehold, and they
Yeah.
did not carry it through from there
Yeah, I mean, I think round 3 was our best game.
by far.
I'm just a little biased towards my friend Trevor.
I mean, that's fair. That's
Yeah,
fair. It
and
was
Trevor,
a good game.
And Trevor played a good game too. It was a good matchup into it was Palkia into Banette.
Yes.
And then we got to see a lot for round 4.
Right. That was
Yeah.
a wild set of few games. Sporkmaster, thank you very much. Really
Yeah.
appreciate the feedback. But yeah, we got to see some interesting ones. So my
Yeah.
hope is as we get closer in and further through Stellar Crown format, we start to see more like optimized decks, more
Yep.
better lists, more cool counterplays.
And cool matchups.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I mean, this was just a little piece of it.
Agreed.
Yeah, like look at all these archetypes that are able to be played now that Stellar Crown's out.
And I heard the skepticism in both your and my voice when we first saw Blood Moon Ursaluna. And in case you all missed it,
Yeah.
Blood Moon Ursaluna should have taken the best of 3.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Like we said, we have a couple really cool things coming up too. We have our first piece of Nerd Rage Gaming Pokemon content coming out this weekend. And I will say, like, we're not trying to be content creators. The goal is not to be the next Tricky Gym, but we would love to build attention up here on the stream to try to get more people watching, get some feedback if we can do anything better. So if y'all know anyone who'd be interested in watching some good tabletop Pokemon content, please send them over. We'll have some cool stuff coming out in a few days. And the last thing we really want to mention is, Brian, we got a big old tournament coming up next weekend.
Yeah, a whole week of tournaments,
A
actually.
whole week, actually, yes.
Yeah.
But tell us about our big League Cup in a couple weeks.
So 1K League Cup, so $1,000 prize pool on the line.
Yep.
You know, it's gonna sell out. We're gonna have a lot of people here, a lot of high level gameplay here, a lot of
Yes.
really good players. So, you know, along with the $1,000 on the line, you know, 50 championship points going towards your invite as well. So
Absolutely.
it's going to be an event that a lot of people are taking seriously, and it's also going to be Stellar Crown legal. So just this little piece here, but we're going to see more optimized decks, not fully optimized, but probably optimized to the time before Louisville, and it's going to be good prep before the event.
For sure. And if you can't
Yeah.
make it out for the tournament, we will be here on stream. And we're kind of lucky. The stream for this is going to be starting right about the end of the Dortmund regionals.
Yeah, so you can go watch that, and then you can come see us right after.
Exactly. It'll be the
Yeah.
first weekend of Stellar Crown legal content. So thank you all very much for hanging out with us here. Really appreciate you participating. We will be back here next Thursday with more Stellar Crown content here at Nerd Rage Gaming.